I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Hello, welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. It's your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I'm glad. That's right, I'm glad. Everybody could be on board for this one. Fellas, in this episode, we got a fantastic one for you. This is a call-in show. Call-in show. It's been a while since we haven't done one. So I said, you know what better time, what better way than to start off the week with a nice little call-in show. Just everybody can call in, give us their thoughts, some things that they might have missed from last Saturday's card, the Riyadh season card. Some of the things are going to be coming up this Saturday. Some of the shenanigans and hijinks taking place north of the other side of the Atlantic between Conor Ben and Eubank. Some rumors, whatever. Just it's a call-in show. You guys talk about whatever you want, but there will be a question of the evening, and that is yet to be determined. I'm gonna come up with one real soon. Excuse me. Still recuperating. I got hit by the flu truck. Oh, he hit me hard. Let me tell you. Now, in real life, you guys know this. If I ever get hit by a truck in real life, I am suing. I'm calling my attorney, Real Flu Shapiro. However, when I get hit by the flu truck, I got to call his cousin, Moishi Shapiro, best doctor, excuse me, in Montreal. My throat is still a little sore, but he got me back up and running. Excuse me, and I asked him, "Hey, man, what do you need? What do you want?" I said, listen, doc, the Sudafed and all, the bioflavonoids and all that doesn't do it for me. I need a little something stronger. He gave me some narcotics, illegal narcotics. No, I'm kidding. No, I didn't take anything strong. I just, man, I was out, man. It hit me hard. I hadn't had that since 2022. Yeah, I hadn't had the flu since 2022. But it was bound to happen. Everyone around me was getting sick. So the good news is we're back. That's in the past. We got a little call-in show. Now, the phone lines are open right now. Numbers right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. So make sure to call in. I'm going to be putting the number up periodically at the marquee. So make sure you call in. Let me just real quick. What was I going to do with that? Yes, okay. So, man, see, I'm a little rusty here. You guys got to bear with me. Before we get down to the phone lines and all that, don't forget, guys, if you want to check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker, you can do so at your leisure. You can see listen to the episodes there without having to go here on YouTube. Don't forget, if you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Buy Me a Coffee app. Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description, and I'm going to be posting it here in the chat. There you go. And I'm going to be pinning that, although it doesn't want to get pinned right now for some reason. What else was I going to say? What else do I usually say? Yeah, you can check us out on... Oh, yeah, don't forget you can donate on Patreon as well. Videos upcoming. Last week, again, stuff happened. Couldn't get to it, even though I wanted to. Got laid out for the biggest card of the week. But hey, it is what it is. You can check out on Patreon. You can give as little or as much as you want. There's no obligation. You can also just sign up for free. You'll still get free videos over there. What else? Yeah, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you yet to do so already. Now I finally managed to pin the message. There we go. And let's give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the Hand History Vault, Dark Hay Dog, Rusty Cage, To Matador, Knockout Ned, Windy City, Federico Grisales. Shout out to him. Oh, that's Papi Mantec. I think that's the real. I don't know if that's the real or fake, man. You know, you never know nowadays. Everybody takes another person's name and just goes with it. But if that is indeed the real Manteca, shout out to him. Shout out to Windy City, Bray, Alfredo Contreras, Eparacua, Manos de Dinamita. Who else we got here? Don Chile, shout out to him. Sergeant, Baron Nivola, Mario Ponce, Nightmurph, shout out to him. Dark Hay Dog, Hard Recoil, Fight Sports Talk, The Quags, shout out to The Quags. Mars Boxeo, Rusty Cage, Alejandro Solis, Shazar in the house, shout out to him. Ralph Unreal. Many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let's get down to it. I'm going to be opening up the phone line so you guys can call in. Like I said, the phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. And we'll be talking about a whole bunch of stuff periodically. I guess the question of the day is, or the evening is going to be, well, look, we had that fantastic card from Riyadh season. People calling it the best card of the year, even though we just started the year. But hey, it's going to take something real special to rival it. It did live up to the billing, lived up to the hype. And it was only $28 or something like that. $25, I believe. I got the receipt here somewhere. Whereas the card coming up this Saturday, as much as the PBC wants to tell you that it's a stacked card, that's what Jimmy Lennon Jr. kept saying during the press conference a couple of weeks ago. Now move on to the next fight, this next bout from this stacked card. It's like stacked card. Why do they keep repeating stacked card? I say, as they're trying to rival Riyadh season. So the question would be, are you going to purchase it? It's going to be 80-something bucks. I think over here it's $89.99 plus the service fees and all that. That probably comes to a good $115. I'm not kidding. So it's it's today's economy, especially with you guys in the U.S. You got to weigh in two things. Well, do I eat eggs? Or eggs are probably what $115 a carton, the price of the pay-per-view, or you buy these pay-per-view, and we're going to get to the quality of it. So I guess I suppose that's going to be the question of the evening, whether you want to buy that card or not. Again, the phone lines are open. The phone number is right there in the left and middle portion of your screen. And I will await your calls eagerly, with great anticipation. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about that card. These Lamont Roach taking on Gervonta Tank Davis. And it's not the worst card in the world. I mean, it's not the best one either. What I'm saying is it depends on how you look at it. And as always, it depends on the context. Because, yeah, they're good fights, but are they really worth it once you analyze the fighters in question? So I'll give you an example. The main event, we got Gervonta Tank Davis, 30-0, taking on Lamont Roach, who's 25-1-1. First of all, you look at the activity. Davis last fought in June 2024 when he took on Frank Martin. Equally, Lamont Roach last fought that very month as well, June the 28th to be precise. 2024, he fought Fergal McCrory. It's about the most Irish name I've ever heard. And he ended up stopping him, I believe. It's not the worst fight in the world. It is bad once you consider that everyone's always talking about how, well, not everybody, but that small contingent of Tank fans who keep saying he's the best, he's the face of boxing. But at the same time, he doesn't have to do anything because, he's only fighting for, and I quote, that bag. He wants that bag. What bag is that? Is that the women's bag that I saw my aunt wearing last week? Or I don't get it. But all of a sudden, he can do whatever he wants. Okay, well now the so-called face of boxing is facing a guy that even less people know who he is. I mean, if you ask mainstream anybody who doesn't really watch boxing a casual, hey, you know who Tank Davis is? Maybe they've heard the name via Twitter, Instagram, and all that. The hijinks that he always gets up to. But even less people know who Lamont Roach Jr. is. So how many pay-per-view buys is this really going to do? Especially, it couldn't have come, like I said, at the worst timing. a week after one of the best, most jam-packed pay-per-view cards in recent memory. So it's a bad look. But we'll get to that later. What I want to get to is the matchup itself. Okay, so you got two guys who haven't fought since June of last year, over 6 months of inactivity. And, you're thinking, okay, what type of fight that we're going to get here? I like the underdogs, right? I always try to give an underdog a path to victory. How can I see the underdog winning? The way I could see Roach Jr. winning here is he's got abilities. He's got good hand speed, definitely has good technique and good defense. He's really sharpened up that defense ever since he lost to Jamel Herring back in 2018, was it? Or 2019? So he's got abilities, but he's got also a bit of a mountain to surmount here, because although he might not be facing the tallest of lightweights, he is facing a lightweight. He's coming off from 130. He's facing one of the hardest punchers in the lightweight division. He's fighting a guy who might be a little bit faster than him as well. So, like you see, there's a lot of things going against him. One thing I like about him, like I said, is his composure. And I like the fact that he doesn't run around the ring. He really does try to make the fight happen. I wouldn't say necessarily that he walks his opponents down, although he does it in spots. But he's not a runner either. He stands in front of his opponent. So I like that from him. I like that wherewithal. I like that spirit that he has. So the way I could see him beating Tank Davis is if Tank Davis, who already is not the most active fighter in the ring, and when I say active, I mean in terms of volume, he's reticent to let his hands go. Now, his supporters and fanatics will have you believe that Tank Davis is only fighting that way because he can. And that if he really wanted to, he could be upping that pace more and more. Well, the reality is, and I've been trying to say this for a couple of years now, that's not Tank Davis. Tank Davis is what you see is what you get from him. He cannot throw a lot of shots. And some people could say, yeah, well, he doesn't need to because he's been winning so far. Yeah, but that's when people compare him to Deontay Wilder, the fact that he's too reticent to let his hands go. And he's fighting subpar opposition. And even then, he has to work hard to get that knockout. What's going to happen when he faces guys that he can knock out? Well, like it happened with Isaac Cruz. Could knock him out, and he went down to the wire. A very, very close fight. Almost went to the wire. I mean, he was down to the wire against Barrios before he finally knocked him out. Why? Because Mayweather told him, look, you're losing the fight here. I mean, I don't know if you're winning. You got to go for it. So it's the same deal here. What happens if he can take out Lamont Roach? But if Lamont Roach can take advantage of those lulls in activity from Gervonta Tank Davis, what happens if Gervonta Tank Davis is in 100%? So that's how a guy who's got less physical gifts can beat the more gifted fighter. An example of that, a recent example, or more or less recent, was George Kambosos when he beat Teofimo Lopez. Kambosos didn't have the power that Lopez had, nor the resume or dossier, but he had relatively quick hands, at the type of speed that could at least rival Teofimo Lopez's. He had good skills. He had heart, as we ended up seeing. He was well conditioned. Even subsequently, when he's been losing, he still shows a good set of lungs. And he had that good right hand, solid right hand, which ended up dropping Lopez and ended up scoring enough times to get him the decision. So I'm not saying Lamont Roach is going to, if he wins, I'm not saying he schools Tank Davis. I'm not saying he washes him. But what I'm saying is he could eke out a decision in a very competitive fight. But again, that's dependent on Tank Davis not being at 100%. Because again, Tank Davis, I've said it before, and I've broken it down. I'm not just talking out of my behind here. I'm not impressed with his abilities. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that type of abilities that are gonna make him or allow him to be dominant against world-class opposition throughout the years. They've been very selective with whom he fights, and it's for a reason, guys. But I want to. So that's the path to victory that I could see for Lamont Roach Jr. But I'm also going to tell you why I don't like some of the things I don't like that are still there from 6 years ago when he lost to Jamel Herring. But we're going to get to that. Let's go to a couple of phone calls here. Let's go to, and don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. The phone number's right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Let's go to 642. 642, you're on the air. 642, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? This is Fight Sport Talk calling from New Zealand. I've been on your show before. And yeah, I'm mostly focusing on the fight we just had in the weekend because it's hard to get over just how competitive this rivalry is and how you can barely split these two. I've changed my mind to where I feel like we need to go with the immediate trilogy because I don't think. First of all, David Benavidez, I think he's going to beat Dmitry Bivol if they fought, but Bivol and Beterbiev have been at the top of the sport for such a long time. Nobody has come close to challenging them anything like these guys have each other. And the fights, I feel Bivol has slightly edged both of them. I felt the last weekend was a little bit more clearer than the first, but it's still very, very close and competitive. So I feel like even though an immediate trilogy seems like a bit overkill, I think it actually makes sense at this stage.
Who did you have winning this latest one, the rematch?
I thought it should have been I thought Dmitry Bivol edged it 7 rounds to 5, fairly clearly. If anything, I felt it was a draw, but I don't think there's much of a case for Beterbiev winning.
Okay, but you still want to see a rubber match?
Yeah, because first of all, Beterbiev did give him the immediate rematch when he won the first, and I thought the first fight should have been a draw, but he could have easily walked away from that rematch. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard did it against Marvin Hagler, and yeah, nobody's ever challenged Bivol. Nobody's ever taken this many rounds from Bivol in one fight, let alone 2. And nobody's gone 6 rounds, let alone 24, without getting dropped by Artur Beterbiev. So, again, the immediate trilogy sounds weird, but I think it actually makes sense.
All right. Well, that's one way of looking at it. But again, if anybody can make it happen, it's the Sheik. So, did you say you think Benavidez beats Bivol?
I think Benavidez will beat Bivol when they fight.
How do you see that going?
Well, Benavidez, he sparred Bivol at a young age, and apparently he hurt him. He's a very good pressure fighter, throws a lot more punches than Beterbiev does. That's going to force Bivol to work, and Benavidez can also try and walk you into shots and try to counterpunch you. And Bivol, one of the very few weaknesses he has is that when he does get hit on the inside, he doesn't fight back. He either holds or mostly he moves away. And again, Benavidez, he throws so many punches that eventually I feel that will just get to Bivol. And it will be a very, very tough fight. But I think Benavidez has the edge. But if Bivol beats him, I think he needs to be in the conversation of top 5 all-time great light heavyweights.
No, I think Tim Bradley's going to have something to say about that. He's not too fond of calling his current fighters top 5 anything. By the way, I'm curious, when you pick Benavidez to beat Bivol, you're saying it's a question of styles. It's not necessarily that Benavidez is better than Beterbiev.
Yeah, I feel as a overall fighter, Bivol is the more well-rounded fighter, but styles make fights.
All right. Well, that's an interesting take right there. Anything else you want to say?
No, not really, man. Thanks for having me on. Whenever you have the Discord on again, I'll try to jump on again. And yeah, all the best.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your call. And yeah, we'll try to have another open lines this week, possibly on Friday. But thank you for your call, man, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Thanks, brother. Peace.
All right, there you go. So that's interesting. He wants to see a rubber match. I wanted to give my thoughts on the rubber match as well, or the potential of that. Well, just everything that happened on Saturday, because I didn't have a chance to comment on that fantastic card. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. The phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Back to the Tank Davis-Lamont Roach thing. Yeah, so Lamont Roach, like I was saying, there's a lot of things that I like from him. There is a path to victory for him against Tank Davis. The path to victory, by the way, another key aspect of beating Tank Davis is Tank Davis cannot really mix offense and defense for prolonged periods of the fight. Like I said, it's mostly one punch at a time. And again, his fans will tell you, well, it's always been working. Yeah, but it's been working against subpar opposition. Didn't work against Isaac Cruz. Almost didn't work against Barrios. So he's walking a tightrope, as they say. But here's the thing about him: when he does go on the defensive, looking for that one single bomb to land, he's very hard to hit because already he's shorter than most of the lightweights, and he's got very good reflexes, and he changes levels when he does it too. So very hard to catch him. You watch that Barrios, the early runs against Barrios. thought Barrios was outworking him in certain spots, but he was having to work hard to do it. He couldn't catch Tank Davis as cleanly as he wanted to. And like I said before the Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight, that's what I was saying about Garcia. The path to victory was, the way I envisioned it for him was, if you're going to beat Tank Davis, you got to already have it in your head that you're not going to be landing flush on Tank Davis. You're not going to have your way with him early because he's going to get on the defensive. And when he gets on the defensive, he's a slippery fish. But a lot of these guys, they go in there like, oh, yeah, I'm a beast. They're hopped up on PEDs and testosterone and, they're in shape. They're the best shape of their lives. And they think, yeah, I'm going to butcher this guy. You're not going to land your bombs early against Tank Davis because he's just like I said, he's too elusive when he wants to be. What the best thing you're going to get early in the early rounds is tap him. Take away a little bit of power, but add a little bit of speed to those shots and just tap him. Tap him. In fact, that's what Joe Goosen said was the plan with when he was training Ryan Garcia to fight Tank Davis. The plan was to pressure him, which is what Ryan Garcia was doing, but do it in a controlled way, maintaining range and distance, following and pressuring Tank Davis, tapping him as much as they could, and then eventually when Tank Davis was going to have to, he was going to panic and say, just like in the Barrios fight, okay, am I actually doing enough to win this? The plan was to get Tank Davis to become more aggressive and then start countering him. But for a couple of reasons that we know of, that never materialized. So the same thing with Lamont Roach here. Lamont Roach cannot go in there looking for that one big shot early. He has to just bank on tap, tap, tap. Touch him here, touch him there. Like I said, you're not going to land flush and have Tank Davis's head flopping sweat all over the place. Tap him. Just outwork him. But these guys, they set the bar so high. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to school him. I'm going to butcher him. You're not going to do that early, at least not early on. You're not going to do that. You gotta. These guys have to stay composed, and so that's key here for Lamont Roach. The problem with Lamont Roach is if you watch that Hector Luis Garcia fight, and I've done so a couple of times now in the build-up to this fight. Again, watch the Hector Luis Garcia one. It's germane to this one because Hector Luis Garcia is a southpaw, and I think it's the best southpaw. Well, it's either him or Jamel Herring. And obviously, the Lamont Roach that fought Jamel Herring is not the same one from today. So the Hector Luis Garcia fight, quite useful in allowing us to see what type of tools Roach has against the southpaw. And, he beat Garcia, ended up dropping him too late in the fight. But there were times where he was just standing in front of Garcia, waiting, and not setting up the shots properly. He was jumping in. He was leaping in with some hooks, almost as if he was a little bit too impatient and didn't know how to get past Garcia's range. And that's a big no-no against Tank Davis. If you start, like I said, the plan should be fight with speed, take away some power, but add some speed to the shots and just touch Tank Davis. Don't try to go anything big early because he will time you. That's all he's looking for. He's just looking to land one big shot. So why give it to him? So hopefully Lamont Roach, for his sakes, he ends up fixing up that little mistake. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. This is a call-in show. Call in. We're doing nothing but calls. So call in. The phone number is right there in the left and middle portion of your screen. Let's go to another call. Let's go to 612. 612, you're on the air. 612, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, 612?
Yeah, no, I don't think this card will do better than what happened last weekend with the Riyadh season. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'd be a good little scrap. My opinion, this is a tune-up fight for Tank. I think we may be in for a surprise announcement after this fight. I think he's going to finally go ahead and just face Shakur, or possibly Haney. I know Haney got his hands tied because he don't really want to fight unless he can get that run back with Garcia. But I got a feeling after this is over with, he's going to go ahead and just finally just get it over with, because after Roach, because a lot of people don't know, he's doing this fight because him and Roach go way back. So he's on the low helping Roach out with a bag do this fight. This is not a real rivalry, or this is not, oh, I really don't like him, that's why I'm fighting him. That's not what this is. This is a tune-up for Tank. I think after this, he's going to go ahead and face Shakur. Or that's what should happen. If it don't happen, then I guess he's just going to continue to duck. Because we all just saw Shakur over the weekend on camera for the 50th time say he wants to fight Tank. So it's up to Tank now. If this fight's going to happen, it's going to be because Tank wants it to happen. The challenge is there. I think he's going to just finally say fuck it and do it. That's what I think is going to happen. So this is a tune-up fight for Tank. There's no way Roach is going to win. I'm not even going to waste time acting like he could. So that's what it is. But what I want to, with that out the way, what I'm trying to understand is somehow Crawford looks bad because Ortiz beat Madrimov. What I don't understand is Crawford beat Madrimov in a more clean, tactical way and took less damage. Ortiz took too much damage to beat him. How does that make Crawford look bad? Explain that to me. I want to know why somebody would think that.
Oh, you want me to explain it to you?
Anybody, because that's what I'm hearing. I've seen like 5 different podcasts saying, "Oh, Madrimov, Ortiz makes Crawford look bad because he beat Madrimov worse than Crawford did." But wait a minute, Ortiz took way too much damage to get him out of there. He didn't knock him out. He didn't knock him down. He hit him with better combinations. Okay, that's cool. But he took too much damage to do it. Crawford didn't. Crawford just went in there, smartly outboxed him, tactically outboxed him, took less damage doing it. Crawford won in a more clean fashion. But somehow people are saying Ortiz did much better and he made Crawford look bad. How does that make sense?
Well, I guess, first of all, I didn't want to get there yet because I was going to give my thoughts on that later. But I suppose there's 2 ways of looking at it. Like you said, yeah, Crawford did it in a more tactical manner. But like you also said, Virgil Ortiz landed more. So I guess it depends on what people like. Some people like a more offensive fighter. Other people like yourself appear to like a guy who's more patient in there. So I guess you got, it's up to people to weigh both things. But it is interesting that Crawford was in the audience and he was watching that fight quite intently. And, a lot of people were saying that Madrimov was Canelo, but better, with better footwork. So now I'm hearing people saying, why doesn't Ortiz move up and fight Canelo? Because supposedly they're all in the same class now, with Crawford fighting him. So I don't know. It's just, it was bound to bring up that discussion. I'd love to have a discussion about that too. But again, maybe on Friday, if Bucho hosts an open lines, maybe that could be the subject. But
whoever said Madrimov is as good as Canelo, they were obviously trolling. I would just laugh that off. One more thing. Mm-hmm. If I'm Terrence Crawford, I don't waste time fighting Canelo because he's in a way different weight class. If I'm Terrence Crawford, since I'm already at 54, I would go ahead and just fight Ortiz. Since everybody, for whatever strange reason, thinks he can beat Crawford, let me just go ahead and just whoop him, take his belt, and just retire. Instead of wasting time fighting the guy that's too big for him. That's what I would do if I was Crawford. Because I don't understand how that makes Crawford look bad. He took too much damage to beat this guy. Crawford didn't. Well, I understand styles or whatever, but it's like you don't want to take damage to beat a guy. Just beat the guy.
What do you mean by he took too much damage?
Like if you saw, like he was getting hit way too much by Madrimov, and then most people that are up on Ortiz, they feel he lost his last fight to the Ukrainian guy. That's what most people think. That was a robbery. That's what everybody keeps telling me. When I looked at it, I did kind of think he got away with a robbery. I believe that too, but that's what everybody keeps saying. But it's just kind of annoying to keep seeing that. Like he did better than Crawford and all that, but it's like he got hit in the face. He got hit too many times. Like if you were so good of a boxer, you would be able to hit your opponent and not get hit back at a very high level. That's why I don't understand why people talk down on Shakur. It's like you didn't do your job as a fighter if you failed to punish me or hurt me when we fought. If I'm able to hit you and not really take punishment from you in the fight, you're saying I'm boring and I'm running, but you're the one in the ring with me and you failed to hurt me and land on me. How you should be the one getting criticized, not me. So a lot of this stuff people are saying, a lot of unfair criticism going on right now. And to me, that's kind of hurting boxing. Like people that shouldn't be getting criticized are getting criticized. I don't think that's fair.
Man, that's the name of the game now.
I don't think that's fair for Crawford.
That's the name of the game now. You know that the internet and everybody gets a voice. So there's always going to be some people saying something, a small group saying something that you might find out of whack. But that's the beautiful thing about the internet. You get to give your opinion, they give their opinion, then you give their opinion about their opinions, and round and round we go. Listen, Cole, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
All right, no doubt. Yep. All right.
Fellas, don't forget to hit that like. Hit that like really helps us out. I want to give my thoughts on the Virgil Ortiz Madrimov fight, but we still got to get to this, get through this Tank Davis thing. The caller brought up, reminded me of something, by the way. Tank Davis, supposedly the big deal for this is that he's going to make an announcement after the bout. First of all, he's got to beat Lamont Roach. And I'm telling you, there's a path to victory. Stranger things have happened. Tank Davis is not an invincible guy that everybody thinks can just walk in there at 50% and beat Lamont Roach easy. He's going to have to work to get this guy out of there, barring a one-punch knockout or whatever. So first of all, he's got to beat Lamont Roach, which he should, because he's a favorite, right? But then supposedly he's going to make an announcement afterwards for the first time ever. See, apparently he's never done it before. He's going to call somebody out. So who will it be? The previous caller said possibly Shakur Stevenson. I'd love to see that fight. I'd love to see him against Stevenson, even though I fear that it would be an uneventful fight in the ring. But I mean, it's still, as a boxing fan, you want to see the top two guys fight. So that's one to make. But realistically, though, is that, on the table? And if it's not, then who else is Tank Davis supposed to beat? If he stays segregated over at the PBC, who can he really beat now, or fight rather? Part of me believes that maybe it's going to be Isaac Cruz, because they just fed Isaac Cruz a win a couple of weeks ago. They can make it, if they put him in there against Isaac Cruz for a rematch, they can make a big deal about how, the first fight was close, it's unfinished business, this and that. I mean, it's promotable on paper. But, we all know, and I'm not being rhetorical when I say we all know. I mean, I think it's a pretty well-established fact. This fight against Lamont Roach Jr. is going to bomb at the box office. And it's going to be the second dud in a row for Tank Davis. So they really need to retool, revamp, and get him to fight somebody that the fans care about. Because fighting the Lamont Roaches and the Isaac Cruzes of the world, again, they're not the worst fights in the world. And maybe I'm saying that because I'm a hardcore boxing fan and, I dig to the dumpsters of boxing to watch any type of boxing. But the casual observer cares nothing about this fight. They don't know who Lamont Roach Jr. is. So, yeah, if they really want to keep Tank Davis's career alive, and also remember, Amazon, they're not giving the PBC any type of substantial money. This is all coming out of pocket from the PBC. So they got to pay for the editing trucks, the transmitters, the receivers. They got to get set up the ring. Everything is out of pocket from the PBC. They're losing money on events like Benavides Morel and this coming Saturday. So, yeah, maybe they're desperate and they finally call out Shakur Stevenson. I don't know. Especially with the Sheik, he's got money to throw around that could actually maybe keep the PBC afloat. You just don't know. So anything's possible. Anything's possible. That's the big surprise there for Tank Davis. But like I said, again, this is already a match that I'm trying to extrapolate as much as I can to make it enticing, but you can see it's a difficult endeavor. Then on top of that, Roach, on top of him being the smaller guy, hasn't fought since June 2024. Same thing with Davis. So you're getting two guys who aren't really at their best, or you doubt will be at their best coming in. Then you got the undercard, right? Again, Jimmy Lennon Jr., the stacked undercard. You got Rayo Valenzuela, 14-2-9 with 9 knockouts, taking on Gary Antoine Russell. Now, again, this is probably the best fight on the card. But again, perhaps a little bit deceptive. Okay, Valenzuela last fought August 2024, so not that long ago, it would seem, when he beat Isaac Cruz. Gary Antoine Russell, however, 17-1 with 17 knockouts, quite a KO ratio right there. Last fought, again, June 2024. The same month that Roach and Davis were fighting at. So he hasn't fought in over 6 months. And what he did to earn this win, I don't know. He hasn't fought since. Why is he getting a title shot against Valenzuela? Then again, nowadays with titles, you got 6 people walking around at one time calling themselves champions. So it is what it is. If he wouldn't have gotten a title shot against Valenzuela, he would have gotten a title shot against some of the other 15 guys calling themselves champions per division. So again, it's the best fight on the card, but you got Gary Antoine Russell who's been inactive. Then you got Puello, the guy who beat Russell in his last fight. Again, hasn't fought since June when he beat Russell, 2024. And he's taking on Sandor Martin, and people go, whoa, that's a good fight, BDA, on paper, right? First of all, no, it's not a good fight because Martin is not a pressure guy, far from it. And second of all, he hasn't fought since December 2023. Didn't fight at all in 2024. So you got a guy who relies on reflexes, speed, and footwork coming off a year-long layoff. Probably not going to be at his best. So that's what I'm paying $89 for? To watch guys shanking the raw stuff? And they're not even that interesting of matchups. There is one interesting matchup I'm looking forward to. The Cuban Yoenis Tellez, 9-0, 7 knockouts, taking on Julian Williams. But again, Julian Williams, kind of chinny. That's the book on him. Sensational jab, one of the best set of skills I've ever seen in recent years. But he falls into the same Amir Khan, Jorge Linares type of category. He's got all the tools in the toolbox. He's got the hand speed. He's got, the Philly background. But just that endurance. I'm not even going to say chin, just the endurance. He just falls apart when it matters the most. So you figure that Yoenis Tellez is probably going to take him out. But if Julian Williams can roll back the clock, could be very dangerous for Tellez. Very dangerous. Julian Williams, by the way, speaking of activity, he last fought January 2024. So that's another guy, a fragile guy getting up there in H2, by the way, coming off a year-long layoff. So I'm supposed to be... Tellez last fought in October, I believe, on the Team Zoo Murtazaliev undercard. So he's got activity, he's got freshness in the tank, whereas Williams is coming off a year-long layoff. He's been stopped before. Again, not all that enticing when you're asking me to pull out $80 out of my pocket. So that's why I'm saying, can this card rival Riyadh season? Maybe it could in action, despite what all the inactivity, but I don't know. Fellas, don't forget the phone lines are open. Make sure to call in. Phone numbers are right there in the left and middle portion of your screen. Make sure to call in. And don't forget to hit that like. Taking phone calls for at least another hour here. So that's what's going on there with that card. I'm not Julian Williams, by the way. If he can somehow turn back the clock, but it's not just that he lost against Carlos Adames, although I still maintain that was a BS stoppage. But he still, don't forget that I think it was before that he'd been beaten by Vladimir Hernandez. Now Hernandez right now is making a reputation for himself as the consummate trail horse, the consummate gatekeeper. He's been pulling off a couple of upsets over at Pro Box. So there's no real shame to losing to the guy, except that when you factor in where Julian Williams was pre-pandemic, pulling off one of the greatest upsets in the last couple of years against Jared Hurd, and I still maintain one of the best performances I've seen in the last 10 years. Julian Williams in that fight showed everything. He showed endurance, stamina, sharp jab, fighting at long range, mid-range, up close, a heck of a right hand, dropping Jared Hurd. I mean, it's just a beautiful performance. And then this is where he's at now. Cannon fodder for Yoenis Tellez. I do hope that he can turn back the clock, because if anybody deserves it, it's him. But he's got a tough ask ahead of him. Then again, Yoenis Tellez, he's got all this hype behind him, but he's not unbeatable. So let's see what happens. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 347. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? What's up, fellas? It's NPR.
Oh, NPR, man. What's up?
Pretty good. So I want to talk about the Riyadh season card just for a bit, and then talk about the light heavyweight division, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I was very impressed by Callum Smith. I picked that wrong. I thought that he just, because of the savage beating we all saw him take from Beterbiev, I thought it was going to be a Mercer, Tommy Morrison situation where you just don't come back from that kind of beatdown, Mm-hmm. And so I picked that wrong. I can't remember the other one I picked wrong. I picked the Shira fight incorrectly. I think we all did. We all probably thought of Shira as being better. Most of us did anyway. I saw a lot of online comments supporting Shira, but I thought we were all a little bit on the hype train. I thought Adames definitely won that fight, and clearly I think that was a very egregious outcome. Mm-hmm. But he's Dominican, and they always do it to the Dominicans somehow. It seems to be, they're always getting the short end of the stick, it seems, they don't have a big enough fan base to put up a stink, Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I think I got 5 out of the 7 main events on the men, all correct. I was not very impressed with Martin Bakole. Not that I always have been impressed with Martin Bakole, I just think that I'm not impressed with him as a person because I don't think that what I mean by that is that you're a professional athlete. And for you to come in as a fat tubby at 315 pounds and just be so grossly out of shape that you're not even in professional shape. I'm talking about shape, not boxing prime. I mean, he wasn't even, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I mean, he looked so lumbersome,
Right.
Overall, I think it was the greatest card I've ever witnessed.
Interesting.
It certainly had. I don't think I can recall a full card that was as deep as that. That was pretty deep, and the fights were very competitive. As far as the Callum Smith thing goes, I think there's a lot of room at light heavyweight now. And one thing that could happen is they could let David Benavidez earn his way to fight him, delay the round 3 for the Bivol Beterbiev, and have sort of a fight off between the 4, what I think are the 4 decent to good fighters left at light heavyweight, in Callum Smith, David Benavidez. We have Anthony Yard, and we have Lyndon Arthur. I think you're the one that mentioned a couple of shows ago. You mentioned that Benavidez, that's sort of his speed. I think he would do very well there. I think the hardest fight for David Benavidez, if they were to kind of do a build-up momentum, and then the winner of the guys that are on the outside go face the winner of Beterbiev, Bivol. I think that would do a lot for the sport. It would also do a lot for the light heavyweight division. I think it's a solid division. It certainly has never gotten this much accolades in my lifetime. I don't know if in history it has gotten this much accolades, the light heavyweight division. You have guys like Bob Foster, of course, but you only had single guys at any point in history that were solid at light heavyweight that got fame and notoriety. So I think that could be a good kind of marketing ploy. It would do a lot, as I say, for the division. It would do a lot for boxing. It would raise Benavidez should he be the victor. I think the hardest fight for him at that division, out of those 4 guys that I mentioned, would be Anthony Yard. I think that would be a very difficult fight for him. Anthony Yard is very fast, and he has a lot of power. He almost did it to Kovalev, and I don't think that anybody should be too surprised that he lost in the way he did to Beterbiev. Beterbiev has a way of doing that. Mm-hmm. So as far as some of the technique that I saw, I'll go on just briefly about some of the technical aspects of what I saw from the main event, the Beterbiev-Bivol fight. Bivol set the table for the second fight with things that he took away in the first fight from Beterbiev. And if you notice that there are two patterns that Beterbiev used historically in his arsenal, and that was a leaping right hook after a jab, or a leaping jab and then a right hook coming in to gain space. He did it over and over again to Callum Smith and countless fighters. But Bivol took that away in the first fight, and Arthur didn't use it at all. The second thing that he took away from Beterbiev was he took away his L-step. If you notice that Beterbiev always would L-step, gain an angle, and then recommit. Bivol always occupied that. As soon as he took that L-step, he would do it in range. And so Bivol took that away from him, would pop him, and then escape, right? So Beterbiev didn't even try it this time. He never leaped in. Not even once did he leap in this fight, and he's done it in his entire career. And so he set the table, and he turned up the gas. He turned up the gas by 10%. And those three factors, those little adjustments that he made. Now, if there was any guy who was going to make an adjustment, it was going to be an expert boxer like Bivol. Mm-hmm. Bivol, his jab is the most sophisticated jab in boxing today, no doubt about it. And we say a jab. Of course, it's not a jab. It's a series of different punches and a series of different effects that you get from your left hand. And he also impressed me with his ability to take away power from a guy that's landing on you. So, if Arthur, for instance, threw a stab jab, he would take the power away from that with the quickness of his feet. He's expert at doing that. And so I'm very, very impressed with his balance, with his footwork, and with his jab. And it's very exceptional. I don't think we've seen a more sophisticated jab since a guy like Larry Holmes.
Whoa.
And so I'm very pleased. I'm always a technique. I'm always looking at technique and seeing which guy did it. And of course, it was Bivol. If anybody's going to deliver technique with those two guys, it's going to be him. We're going to see the same Bivol, better be over and over and over what we've seen for his whole career. But as far as the guy that has the ability to make adjustments, fight to fight or in between rounds, it's going to be Bivol. I'm very, very impressed with that. I couldn't have been more pleased with the whole card, and I think we're all pretty blessed that we've had such a fabulous night of boxing. One more thing about Callum Smith. Callum Smith, all the props in the world for him, stepping up and dominating that fight against Buatsi. I believe that if somebody wants to show technique on how to turn over a punch, it's going to be him. You show him because he turns over punches beautifully, especially in mid-range. And that's also a little bit of downside for him is that he gives up his height, which is very disturbing to me. You put him on the back foot and he's in trouble. He shouldn't be going on the back foot so much with a guy that almost always has such a height, power, and reach advantage. So I think that's going to be his downfall, and it seems to have been his downfall in the past. Oh, anyway, so those are my thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed the fights as much as I did, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Fantastic. Well, listen, always good to hear from you there, NPR. Good points, and we'll catch you on the next one, man. Take it easy out there.
God bless. There's vote.
Same to you, man. Yeah, that Callum Smith fighting the guy Buatsi, really, because Buatsi reminded me a little bit of I-Court Tander this past Saturday. But Callum Smith turned back the clock, man. I mean, I suppose that after you're in the ring with Canelo and with Turbiev, all of a sudden Buatsi, it's easier to find openings against him than it would be against somebody else. But yeah, excellent call right there from NPR. Good to hear from him. Let's go to our phone call. Hey, fellas, don't forget to hit the like, and subscribe if you yet to do so already. We're having the calling show here today, so phone number's right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Let's go to our call. Let's go to 323. Excuse me, 323. You're on the air. 323. What's on your mind? 323. You're on the air. Can you hear me? 323 on the air. Cool.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now, 323. What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Are you sure about that?
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I don't know.
Okay, that sounds fine. I like it. I just want to be as boring as the last caller.
Anyway, come on, man. What's the matter with you? Is that how you begin the call?
Get to the point already, motherfucker.
That's how you begin that's how you start.
Shoot that guy with some testosterone or something. Jesus,
you got to bring others down.
Asleep during that whole thing.
You got to bring others down to bring yourself up.
I don't want to spend an hour talking about Callum fucking Smith, dude. Jesus.
Why not? What's wrong with Callum Smith? What's wrong with Callum Smith?
Oh man, it was just like, I mean, it was a pretty good fight. I don't know, man. It was okay. I don't know. It was fine.
NPR, call back and give this guy a piece of your mind, man.
The Shakur shit was fucking hilarious, though. I was just laughing the whole time because I was thinking to myself, he's hitting them with everything he's fucking got, and that motherfucker kept coming at him. It was amazing to watch that a guy, an electrician coming off a job, not even in a training camp, went 9 rounds with this motherfucker. I mean, I could have called my cousin Chewy, and he would have fucking kicked his ass. Probably he would have been 10 rounds with him. But that's just whatever. I don't really care too much about Shakur anyway. What I was really impressed with was that fucking Bakole fight, because I thought I was going for Bakole, but then I found out the day before. Actually, no, I found out with you guys maybe that he came in like 300 and something pounds, and I was like, I thought this guy was in camp. What the fuck has he been doing? Was he spending his time at Krispy Kreme? What the fuck, dude?
No.
He looked like a tub of shit. I mean, he wasn't like that much bigger from where he was. I think he was maybe like 30 pounds heavier than when he fought Anderson, but he just looked like fucking the hippo guy from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out with those big fucking shorts hugging around his love handles. And the way he went down, it looked like he got on the ice rink and didn't know what to do. Like it just looked like he was like it was like a cartoon. The way he was on ice skates going down. So I give a lot of credit to Parker, man. Parker, out of all of these guys from the older days, because he has been around for a minute. I mean, he's not an old guy necessarily, not even for a heavyweight. But as far as comebacks are concerned, I am more inclined to say that I buy his comeback as a fighter more than I would buy Dubois' sort of like winning streak. Like, I don't think Dubois' whole thing is as strong as Parker's. I think Parker's is a little, because you got to understand Dubois. I had this conversation with somebody. That's why I'm bringing this up. But right? Dubois had fought kind of like a shitty version of Joshua already. Like, Joshua hasn't been the same. And he's been in decline since the Ruiz loss, especially since that meltdown he had after the last Usyk fight in the ring. You know the guy's mind isn't right. So that's the guy he beat. So I don't buy Dubois. I just don't. I don't put a lot of stock in Dubois. But I will after this fight and the last fight that I've seen Parker in. I will have to say I put a little bit more stock into Parker as far as being somebody that Alexander Usyk should fight next instead of fighting Dubois again. And then for what? Like, okay, so you're gonna fight Dubois, right? And it's kind of like the Canelo situation where they stripped him, and then he's gonna fight for undisputed again. And then like why does Alexander Usyk have to do that? Why does he have to fight this guy again? And it's not like a fight that I really want to see. I'd much rather see him fight Parker or somebody else. I don't know what you think about that, but I'm not really excited about seeing him fight Daniel Dubois again.
I mean, I wouldn't mind see if Joshua can. No, sorry, you were talking about Usyk, or you talking about Joshua fighting Dubois again? No,
I'm talking about Usyk because
Usyk.
So I guess Usyk's supposed to fight Dubois again, right? But it's not like fight I want to see. I'd rather him fight Parker. I'd rather or somebody else, because we've already seen the Dubois fight, and I don't really like I said, I don't really buy I'm not on the Dubois train here. Like, everybody's kind of like, it's not as bad as when people thought that what's his name, fucking Joshua was back for knocking out Ngannou. It's not that bad. I'm not going to say it's that bad, but knocking out today's version of Anthony Joshua, I don't know. Like, it wasn't that big a deal to me. Like, come on. Like, he looked so fucking awkward. He just looked kind of shot. He made a lot of stupid mistakes. Like, how do you not just put your hands up? Shit like that. You're getting dropped left and right. It's just, it didn't look right to me. I don't think the guy's mind was in it. So I would rather see Usyk fight Parker. That's it. I just kind of like more convinced with Parker's winning streak and comeback than I am with Dubois. That's all I'm saying. Other than that, I thought the main event was really great. It was really too close to score. I had it a draw. I'm in the minority, maybe. I don't know. I've talked to several people that were just clearly Bivol's fight. But then somebody brought up a good point on the panel on the night of the fight, I think. Somebody mentioned that Bivol only threw maybe 40 more punches than Artur, which was very interesting. And I did have it a draw or leaning towards Bivol in this last fight, which in the last fight I really had it decisively for Artur Beterbiev. And I just think they chose to turn it off and on at different times. And if you notice during the fight, at the beginning of the fight, yes, Bivol was getting in his face and he wasn't doing his pendulum step thing and going in and out, but he was in his face and he was landing significant punches. But then Artur started taking over. But what hurt Artur the most was that he took rounds off. I saw the fight again, and the motherfucker took some 2 rounds off. And that really hurt him. I think if it wasn't for that, it was so fucking close that if he hadn't taken those 2 rounds off in the later rounds, he would have won the fight again, because he looked so dominant when he was fighting, when he was on top of Bivol. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I saw the fight twice, and he looked extremely dominant in the rounds that he was winning. He looked really good, and he looked like he was actually really hurting Bivol to the point where Bivol started protecting his rib cage and started backing out and not throwing. And he wasn't exchanging at that point.
He's a 40.
So
40, the book, the old adage on all the great fighters is they can still do what they did in their primes. They just can't sustain it as long, for as often within the ring. By the way, people in the chat are asking if you're trying to rival NPR. Because it's, I guess the information.
Was that really NPR? Because it didn't sound like him. It sounded like NPR's voice is very distinct. It didn't really sound like him. But he might have a cold. He might have COVID. He might have rabies. I don't know. He might have something. I think of, whenever I listen to NPR, I think of Theodore Kaczynski. So I think he's in the woods somewhere. Building bombs or something.
I mean, you're talking about, come on, yeah. You know what it is?
He's a part of MK Ultra, dude. You know that.
This show
anyway,
and
listen.
yeah.
No. Well, I just wanted to get your take, because I don't think I've ever heard your take on the rounds that I don't know if you agree, but the rounds that Beterbiev took off really hurt him a lot.
I agree,
because at least when Bivol took some of the rounds off, he would jab out and he would land a few here and there, and he made it look good. But when Beterbiev took those rounds off, he did not look good, and I think that really fucking hurt him. That was
like I said, 40 years old.
I scored the last round for Beterbiev. I thought he out hustled Bivol in the last round, but it just wasn't enough. I thought it was a draw, but I'm not mad about the decision at all.
I mean, Bivol's a slippery Pete, and when you're 40 years old, you got to chase a guy like that around. It's tiresome. So I mean, it is what it is.
It's gonna fuck you up. Yeah, anyway, I hope they rematch sooner rather than later. I like the quick turnaround, and that card was just really good. I think a lot of the people that I know that are boxing fans, and there aren't too many out there, and then you guys in the community. I know we're all excited about the fights, and we're really excited about this card. And the fact that it was like $25, it was just like one of the best things that you could do for boxing. On that hand, I will not be buying the. Of course, I don't think I've ever bought one. I'm thinking about one I bought. I probably bought the Barrios Tank fight. Or was it the Santa Cruz? One of those two. I bought one of those two. I haven't bought a Tank Davis fight. I think I've only bought one, and it was probably the Leo Santa Cruz fight. But I won't be buying that shit, because I hear there's not. I don't know how they're going to make it. How could you compete with $89 for one that has the shit card, and you already know who's going to win, and then you have this really awesome card that just happened for $25. So,
exactly, it's a bad look, man. It's bad luck.
It's a really bad look. Yeah, almost as bad as going 9 rounds with an electrician. But
wait a minute.
Hey, anyway, you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, try to bring Jimmy back. I miss Jimmy.
We're working on it.
Antics.
We're working on it.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Take it easy, man. Thank you for your call there, Margasos. Have a good one. Yeah, Margasos mentioned You mentioned the Unabomber and the way he was going at it with NPR, or against NPR, rather. I'm telling you, man, this show, these phone lines have had dire consequences on the human race. It's been a disaster. Kind of like the Industrial Revolution. Anyway, shout out to everybody in there. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Don't forget to hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Hope you're enjoying the phone calls. Again, open phone lines, so you guys get to call in, give us your thoughts on anything and everything going on right now. In the meantime, I get to talk a little bit, so sort of throw a couple of subjects out there to get people to call in. Maybe you guys get an opinion on some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. Actually, let me go. I really appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody who's here commenting, and sometimes I like to take the time out and actually read the comments because we don't usually get to do that when we have a panel on. Everyone's talking. We're moving at a fast pace, fast neck pace. What do they call it? Anyway, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Fast pace. So let me read a couple of what people are saying here. Trey Ason, shout out to him, says Dummy Bacoli didn't even train. So what are you saying? That's the thing. He didn't even. He was supposed to train for the Ajagba fight, which is in May. He gets a call last week, 2 days notice. So that's what was it, February 19th or something? I mean, he wasn't even training probably for the Ajagba fight. So yeah, he didn't train. What you saw there was a guy who had no punch resistance. And by the way, that's what happens. Think about it. Bacoli's a guy who's in his early 30s. He's been active, but he hadn't been in a training camp for a fight. That's in part one of the reasons why I believe his punch resistance was what it was this past Saturday. So now imagine, just in hindsight, it's funny how people thought Mike Tyson was gonna get his crippled ass, and let's face the facts, brain-addled or marijuana-addled brain, and dust himself off and fight Jake Paul. I know it's Jake Paul, but we're talking about a near 60-year-old guy in Mike Tyson with a bunch of injuries. Like I said, drugs up the wazoo, hasn't fought as a professional in over 15 years, and you think he's going to be able to react well to punches and all that? Nah, man. I mean, this is how difficult it is to be a professional boxer. That's how physically demanding. Forget an 8-round fight, a 10-round fight, a 12-round fight. You know how physically demanding that is? So Bacoli's got a lot of guts. I mean, it's not really guts either, too, because he probably went in there and said, okay, listen, I'm a big guy. I don't rely on speed that much. So I'm probably going to be able to do some. I could potentially put it off against Parker. And worst case scenario, he didn't really lose much because he didn't train. So is it really that much of a loss for him? Especially since he got paid well apparently by the Sheik to come in on 2 days' notice. So, but yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you this is a guy who's one of the biggest, strongest guys in the division, but he didn't have a training camp, and it showed. So now imagine, and it brings me to the whole thing of Vladimir Klitschko a couple of months ago. There was a rumor that, he might be coming back. The Sheik might offer him money to come back. How's that going to look? The guy's probably in his 50s, right? At this point, hasn't fought since 2017. How do you think that's going to look? Already a guy who reacted badly to getting hit in the face. You think he's going to react even better now that he hasn't fought since 2017 and he's damn near a 50-year-old guy? I mean, come on. People need to get into their heads. Once a guy's off the ring for 2 or 3 years and he's past 40 years old, he ain't going to look like $1 million in there. J.A. says he was piecing Dubois and landing at will and not getting... Okay, I don't know what they're talking about there. Padokua says Usyk is soft to the silly belly. The silly belly. Give Dubois his get back. I mean, they whoever puts that fight together, they could probably promote it that way, right? The get back. There was controversy. All you need is a little controversy to sell the fight, or try to anyway. And they could make that fight happen next. They could certainly try to massage it into people's brains. I'm not looking forward to it all that much. I thought Usyk was the clear winner in that one. But then again, that's because I saw a low blow. Other people, they didn't see a low blow, so they might be inclined to believe that Dubois can score another official body blow in the rematch. James Burrell says, Usyk schooled Dubois. I'm not excited to see it again either. Yeah, there you go. Although it wasn't an easy fight for Usyk, though. I mean, again, Usyk fighting these guys who outweigh him by 20, 30 pounds. It's never easy for him. He makes it look easy, but believe me, he's redlining that engine. He has to go at 120% to do what he does in there. Nokchi says, Bakram Murtazaliev versus Ortiz. That's a great fight right there. Might end up looking like the Bohashuk fight again. Earl Stevens, shout out to Earl. Earl says, Matarazos learned his lesson being on the Majimov train. Oh, was he on the Majimov train? I didn't know that. Who else we got here? Hold on a second. Trying to read some comments here. Arthur one for me says 66, 22, 92. Arthur War, he said 1. I'm no longer giving the credit to the runners, especially when they get hit like Bevo. Oh, there you go. Who else? We got DJ and once as Billy Nelson was saying, Bakoli had been training for 2 months before the fight. He was clearly talking crap. Yeah, come on. He was training for 2 months. Training in what? Eating? The guy that was a fat ass. Horrible shape. You could tell he hadn't trained. I do give him, like Madrazo said, I give him credit for going as long as it did. Or was it NPR rather? I forget which one said it, for giving him credit for for the fight going as long as it did. Because he was actually, before that he got stopped, he was actually landing some good body shots on Parker. And you saw a couple of those shots got Parker's attention. He was like, holy shit, this guy can crack. But again, listen, and some people are saying, oh, what's his name? McCauley got exposed. I said, the guy didn't train. You can tell he didn't train. Are you really going to take credit away from this guy? And people are going to say, well, you're taking away credit from Parker. I'm sorry. He fought a guy who got off the couch on 2 days' notice. How much credit he wants to give him? So again, you know what? The logical thing would be a rematch, but Parker apparently already has a title shot cemented. If they ever get Dubois back in the ring, I think that's the fight that they're going to make. So why would he want to risk that fighting a guy like Bakoli? Especially since he already got past a guy like Zhang. And that was a very close fight. And he got dropped twice in that one. So he already made it through Zhang. Now he made it to Bakoli at the last minute. I don't think he wants to face any of these monsters again so that he can get that Dubois title. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 267. 267, you're on the air. 267, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so I saw an interview that Martin Bakoli gave with Seconds Out. And that guy he got off the plane. He was having a hard time finding a flight to get in, and he had to stop off in Ethiopia and then Dubai before he got to Riyadh. And he got in at 2 a.m, and he wasn't training at all. He said he was in Africa because he's working with the president of DRC to build the shopping center for the people in his village or town. So he was over there overseeing that. He gets the call. He said he had been called by Turkey in the past to help him out with some last-minute stuff, and he felt bad that he always had to say no. And so he had the fight with Ajagba coming up, and he was about to start camp, he said, in a couple weeks. So he admits he did zero training. The last time he had a punch come at him was when he fought Jared Anderson. And he wanted to help him out. He got paid. He's getting paid a lot of money, and Turkey assured him he wouldn't win or lose. He would still get the Ajagba fight. So he took it. It made sense for him. But anyone going into the fight that watches any kind of boxing knows that, Joseph Parker, it doesn't hurt him, but he's not going to get full credit for this win. He's fighting a guy that had zero training. And he got in, he landed in Riyadh 2 o'clock in the morning on the day of the fight. And then they were making him give interviews, and he had to do all his medical stuff. He slept a couple hours and then went into a fight against a guy who's been doing nothing but training for the past 4 months. So, right. What else was what happened was what we expected to happen, but it doesn't hurt Bakoli's stock. He's still a good boxer. With a full camp, that fight would have went completely differently.
I agree. I have to assume that it would have gone differently. And some people are saying that Bakoli got exposed. I'm thinking he had no training camp. I don't think people understand. I don't think they seem to understand that. So yeah, it's he accepted it. So it is what it is. On paper, it says loss to Joseph Parker. But again, boxing fans' minds are fickle. As soon as he comes back and beats the crap out of somebody else, people will forget what happened against Parker. So it's not a big loss to him.
Yeah, these days it seems like a lot of, casual fans are important because they're the ones that bring the biggest chunk of money into the sport. And, but yeah, these days fans are so quick to define a fighter based on the last thing they did. So they may have had a great last win, and then all of a sudden it becomes this this thing or a boogeyman or something, or if they have one like flawed loss, it's all of a sudden they're exposed. I mean, it's just like you said, if he comes back and looks great, everyone forgets about this. I don't think it hurt his stock at all. Bucoli's still a good fighter.
Well, you know what? That brings me to the
Parker
Anthony
doesn't
Joshua
get full
thing.
credit though.
You bring up an interesting subject there in regards to when people are also very quick to implore a guy to retire. A guy for Joshua. Yeah, he looked horrible against Dubois. He looked like he was shot or something because he had no punch resistance, no reflexes. However, back in the old days, a top guy used to needed to get knocked out like that or stuff like that, like 5 times in a row before people said, okay, he's shot. It used to be on par to get a couple of stoppage losses in your career. Now you lose once, and again, that's that for a lot of people, that's what's defining Joshua's career right now. Oh, he lost to Dubois. He should retire. Why? He can still beat a lot of other guys out there. But people make it out to be like that. That's how he's always going to look from now on, the way he did against Dubois. And we don't know that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, these days, fighters, I think part of it is because fighters in this era of boxing fight so infrequently every year that people put more weight into the one or two things they did. I mean, back in those days, like you were talking about getting knocked out like a number of times in a row, like the Eddie Futch, Manuel Stewart era of heavyweight boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those guys were fighting a lot more often too, and they weren't. I mean, camps for them, according to what Manuel Stewart and Eddie Futch used to say, were like 4 to 6 weeks long. These guys were always in shape, and the camp consisted of nothing but just adjusted sparring for whoever they were about to fight next. I mean, these guys didn't really spend a lot of time hitting bags and things like that, and they were just a lot more durable. And these days, a guy like Anthony Joshua, I mean, I always say every fighter, it's up to them. No one, Dark Chisora, I mean, look at him. No one's going to tell him when to retire, but no, AJ still got some good fights. I still think the AJ Fury fight has a lot of value, especially domestically in Britain. It's a big fight. But even for me in the United States, I would watch that fight. There's a lot of value to that. They're both coming in kind of in the same position in their careers right now. So,
yeah, you're right. That's a good point, man. But we'll see what happens, man. Again, it's all about what you do next. You got to stay moving like a shark. You can't just stay still. So, I mean, I don't feel too bad for the guy. The guy's a multi-millionaire. Well, listen, thank you for your call, and call back next time, all right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Don't forget to hit that like. By the way, I knew this was going to happen after over a week off, and still recuperating from the flu. I mean, I'm getting up and everything. I got energy now, but I still feel a little numb mentally, and my timing's off. Like for example, right earlier I said, getting knocked out 5-6 times used to be on par. Then I caught myself saying on par. I meant par for the course. You see, my expressions are all over the place. I don't like it. I need to get sharp. I need to get in shape. I want my reflexes back. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. We're taking phone calls right now. The phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 470. 470, you're on the air. 470, what's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, 470. What's up?
What's up, BDA? That's Never Sobers, bro.
Oh, Sobers, what's up, man?
What's up? I want to talk about some things I saw about the fights. I didn't get to see the Riyadh card in its entirety, just bits and pieces. But I do want to say something about what I did see on that card, and then I want to say something else about the fight, one of the fights this weekend, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'll tell everybody right now in the chat and you, BDA, put on your little aluminum tinfoil conspiracy theory hats, bro, because we're going to deep dive in this bitch.
All right,
okay?
Let's do it.
So I heard another caller mention it earlier, and I've been hearing it throughout the internet, and so I decided to watch the fight. You know what I mean? Make sure I've seen it, the Adames and Shiraz, the Hamza Shiraz fight, right?
Oh yes.
And there's some controversy going around that Turk El Sheikh was going to the corner and he was saying 2 rounds. We need 2 rounds. You're down. Tell him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me think, to something, I mentioned before on the show, right? Behind everything that the Turkey says, I love boxing, I love George Foreman, I love Muhammad Ali. I want to bring the sport everywhere. I want tourism to grow in Saudi Arabia. It's all a facade. It's all a cultural jihad. right? That's what they're all about at their core. They want to convert you at the tip of the sword. And right now it's at the lace of a glove. So I said this on the show before BDA, and now I can see it coming to fruition little by little, not all the way yet, right? I said that this guy, Turkey Al-Rashid, is going to do a jihad. He's going to want a Muslim at the top of the pound-for-pound list. And I said Hamza Shiraz is going to be the guy. And we're seeing him, pushing him in that direction right now. He's already helping him, right? And it's funny, too, because this guy, Shiraz, is already a certified hype job. He turned down a fight with Canelo, right? Frank Warren told us. And then he openly ducked Johnny Beck so that the WBO took him off his rankings entirely, right? So and then he's in this fight with this random Dominican Adames is good, right? I'm not, but he's not well known. So that's why I'm saying random. And he basically lost that fight. They gave him that little gift. They helped him out. So I think the proof is in the pudding. We know what this guy is really trying to do. We know what he's really about. What's up?
Well, first of all, you're saying the proof is in the hummus in this case, but you're saying that the goal of this whole thing is Islamization or Islamic. I don't even know if I'm saying it properly. My mind's still a little numb here. But you're saying you're saying that right now they're just sticking it in. They're just sticking the tip in of the sword. I mean, of the sword. That's what you're saying essentially.
Yeah, the tip of the sword.
The tip of the sword, not something else. Yeah.
So, no, yeah, because look, we saw this already, right? Jarrell Miller, Gervonta Davis. Who else, man? There's a couple other fighters that went over there and they openly converted to Islam, right? So they could get that favor with the Turkey. And you see these guys that he's helping, right? Let's go into the Beterbiev and Bivol. Bivol's a Muslim, right?
Yeah. Oh no, Bivol's no Beterbiev.
Beterbiev, okay. I thought Bivol was. I thought I heard someone say that. Okay, but anyways, let's besides the point. Fuck that shit.
Right.
He wants to help Shiraz, and he wants to see a Muslim at the top of the pound list. That's what I'm saying, and we're seeing, and what I was adding to that point was we're seeing Americans go over there, and in order to gain Turkey's favor, they're fake converting essentially, right? That fool, Gervonta Davis, isn't his name like Abdul Walali or some bullshit like that now, right?
Right.
And when's the last time he's gone by that? I think someone called him that on Twitter and he threatened them. So he doesn't like that name. He doesn't like that name. And so that's what I think right there. That's what I feel like. I said that before when I first started with Turkey. The thing that made me nervous about this dude is what their business is really conversion to Islam. And that's why I say he's trying to convert boxing into an Islamic sport. And we can't have that shit. And don't worry, guys. Don't worry. They got Sandman chins. Shiraz didn't get crumbled in his next fight.
Yeah, so probably.
That's right there. Keep your hat on. Keep your hat on, guys. Keep your tinfoil hat on because I'm jumping on to the next subject. Then I want to talk about the Gary Antoine Russell fight with Rayo Valenzuela, right?
Sure.
So this is a PBC Mexican, correct? We know how they treat them. They're just stepping stools to their Black American fighters, the stars they want to build. This guy, Gary Russell, he's been built he's a knockout fighter, right? He's a knockout guy. He's a bruiser. He has a reputation for that. Am I right?
Yes. Well, he's got a 100% KO ratio.
Let's go on you. So look, this is what I think happened, right? Ever since that Rayo fucked up and let himself get knocked out by De Los Santos, he was marked for death after that. They're never going to take you serious. You're never going to be taken serious, and we're just going to feed you to somebody. And they tried to do that with Colbert, right? They robbed him, and then he had to knock him out cold. He had to get a knockout of the year to win that fight.
That's a good point.
Okay? Still marked for death. He goes up. They try to give him to their other PBC Mexican. I even thought that Pitbull Cruz was going to knock him out. They thought that Cruz was going to knock him out because they wanted him to feed off his corpse and then build up Gervonta Davis, his star. What's the word? Dang, what's the word where they do? It starts with a P. Like by proxy. They try to build up Gervonta Davis, his star by proxy by having, Pitbull Cruz knock this guy out and then maybe give Gervonta Davis a title shot at 140. Except, he upset the apple cart. He beat Cruz. And then they said, okay, cool. Now we want you to fight Gervonta Davis at 137 at a catch weight for your 140 belt. He said, nice try. I'm not going to do that. So they're mad at him, right? And they think they're punishing him. They think they're punishing him by putting him in there with Gary Antoine Russell, because he's like we said, he's a knockout guy. And Rayo already has a reputation now for being chinny because that De Los Santos lost.
Sure.
So what I think they're doing to him is that they're trying to punish him, you know, by putting him in there with Russell, because he didn't want to accept the catch weight by Gervonta Davis. Like, oh, you think you're going to keep that belt? You're not. We're going to put you in here with this guy, and he's going to finish you. But
Interesting.
But this is where my conspiracy starts, right? That's a conspiracy I'm seeing. But this is
you
where
haven't
my
even started
conspiracy
yet.
starts. No. So what I'm seeing about this guy, Antoine Russell, he's not as good as advertised, right? You know, the BDA, they lie about this dude. He's not even as tall as advertised.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. You mentioned that, I think, right?
Yeah, look, he fought, what's the Ukrainian's name?
Postal.
Postal.
Yeah.
He's fought, and Postal's like a good 5'10", 5'11", right?
Right.
And if you go look on BoxRec right now, you have Antoine Russell at 5'10". Go look at the picture of them at the weigh-in. I can even send it to you, BD, if you want.
Sure.
Go look at the picture of them in the weigh-in. Russell and Postal. Postal looks about 3 inches taller than him, right? And then the same thing with Puello. Puello's 5'10", and then when you see him in there with Russell, he's about 2 or 3 inches shorter than him. And they have him listed at 5'10". He's not. He's like 5'6", 5'7".
Why do they do that?
So I think it's. Well, they're trying to make him look scarier than he is.
Yeah, because obviously, my question is, I know the answer, but I'm saying, why not, get him to? Usually, they'll add a half an inch or an inch at the most. These fuckers are adding. I mean, look, I'm looking at the Puello one that you mentioned. It's ridiculous. He looks a good 2 inches shorter, or at least 1.5 inches shorter than Puello. What is this? Why exaggerate so much? Are they really that desperate for a big name?
They're overcompensating, BDA. It's obvious.
Right. Nah, this is ridiculous, man. I'm not gonna tell you, man. I'm out of tinfoil now. You made me roll it all up.
So look. So Rayo is a solid 5'9". So they think they're putting him there with the bigger guy who's gonna knock him out.
Right.
So when they come face to face, you're gonna see who the bigger guy is. Mm-hmm. And then when they get in the ring, we're gonna see who has the real knockout power and who the real boxer is. Right? Because I'm telling you. They underestimate him. Ever since he lost to De Los Santos, he's been marked for death. They're trying to use him as a stepping stone. But he's shown his ass. He's shown he has a little bit more than that.
He's shown his ass.
That's basically what I think. He showed his ass against fucking, what's his name, Pitbull Cruz. Right. He was taking heavy shots, and he tamed that little bull.
Well, no, because you say he showed his ass, and he showed a little something else. So now I'm thinking, what else is going to show us? Taint? I mean, I can't wait. Let me tell you that. But I'm talking about the boxing, not the taint part. But I'm telling you, listen, this is Sobers. This is what he does. He looks at the angles that no one else is covering. So he might be right. He might be wrong. But one thing's for sure, it's exciting to wait to see what happens. So, Sobers, anything else, man?
Look up. We're not letting those Sandmen take over boxing.
Uh-huh.
And Russell's going to get exposed again.
Oh. All right. There you go. Well, that's the best fight on the card. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens, man. Sobers, thanks again for your phone call and the comments. Really, deep, thought-provoking stuff, to say the least. Call back next hour. We'll talk later, brother. Take it easy out there.
All right, bro.
All right, take it easy, man. All right, shout out to Sobers. Yeah, the Sheik thing, I mean, a lot of people made a fuss about it on social media, so it didn't go unnoticed. And it was weird, let me tell you, quite bizarre that he would start getting up and, gesticulating wildly, and you could tell he was visibly upset. Once Adames started building momentum, the guy ended up started panicking a little bit. All right, before I get to the buy me a coffee, let's get to a call here because somebody's been waiting for a while. 713, you're on the air. 713, what's on your mind?
Hello, Mr. BDA. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you, man, for calling in.
Man, I saw the fight card. At the house, I paid $30-some, and it might not have been the greatest card, but it was pretty decent. It was pretty decent for what I paid for. as far as Tank's fight, I'm not gonna buy it because it's $100.
Ah, come on.
I'm better off going to the bar, paying the bar, drinking, and going home on an Uber, and then still come under $100.
I like how you had to add.
Anyway,
I like how you added the Uber at the end there. You're not, like we all know what you're actually gonna do is you're gonna have a bunch of drinks. And you're gonna be like, I can drive home.
No, I'm gonna take Uber.
All right.
I mean, it's true. I don't need to go far. Anyway, but I have a theory now because supposedly pay-per-view running the shows on the closed circuit was expensive, supposedly, right?
Sure.
I really couldn't tell you, but it was. So the Zone came out, supposed to be the cheapest thing and available for everybody to stream. I believe that the PBC charges that much money now, and they're just paying Amazon to host their fights on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're charging so much. And as far as the Zone, they already took over boxing, in my opinion. They already did it. Ahead of schedule. Top Rank's going to go there after they're done with the ESPN. It's already, I think it's already made. The decision's already been made. And then you can't get mad at Turkey for anybody for working on it with the Zone now. You mean, that's a real platform right there.
Mm-hmm.
The True Fighters platform for everybody. And it was like $30, and you got a lot of fights on that card. And then because it was daytime, I watched it at the house. I didn't drink or nothing, but it was actually worth it. So yeah, that's my belief now that we were paying $90, and then PBC they fork over money to Amazon now. But I don't think there's a same fight. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
Is that
I don't think it's gonna do well. Shakur should be ashamed of himself for not putting that last-minute electrician on ice before the third round.
Ah, come on.
The guy actually did pretty good. He actually did pretty good. I consider that he was working his electrician job just days. He got the call. He made the weight. He made Shakur look. He got knocked out through body shots, but man, that guy took it to him for the little time he had prep. But there was a couple of us. Zhang is done. I believe that the Asian guy Zhang is done. Ortiz is just now going the distance and getting. I think he's adjusting to the 154 landscape.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He was too good at welterweight, and Deveau is undisputed light heavyweight. Congratulations to him. I think he took his training camp serious. He made adjustments at training camp, and that's why he did so well versus Better Beef. Glad to have you on the show, man. Take it easy.
Hey, listen, man. Thank you for your call. Really appreciate it. You made some good points, but I didn't like how you made it racial there when you said, "Oh, Zhang got stir-fried." I go, come on. Was that really necessary? But other than that, great call, man.
All right, take it easy. Bye.
All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for calling in. All right, shout out to everybody who's been calling in so far. I'm still going to be here. We're still going to be here for at least half an hour. Still got a lot of things to get to, so make sure to call in. Give us your thoughts on anything and everything boxing. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you had to do so already. Before I move on to the next call, shout out to Double L for his contribution with the Buy Me a Coffee app. Link in the description. And he said, Inshallah, hey, Beterbiev was robbed and will come back stronger and better and beat the Mongol. Inshallah, 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 inshallah. Aisha was of age. Muhammad had a giant hammer in his pants. Muslim takeover. Wait a minute. I thought Double L was a God-fearing Christian or at least agnostic. A Gnostic, not agnostic, a Gnostic. Now all of a sudden he's preaching the lies. No, I'm kidding. Now he's preaching Islam. What's going on here, Double L? What is going on? Sobers, I think we have the BDA mole. The Sheik has a mole working in the Discord, in the community, and I think it might be Double L. Just outed himself. But shout out to Double L for his contribution. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
I fucking forgot to mention.
Oh, come on.
Ortiz, man, that was the best, one of the best fights in the card. It was that in the main event, and I fucked up. I got it wrong. Somebody called me out in the chat and said I learned something from the Ortiz win. And Ortiz put it out there. He took risks. And I think, there's been an argument about him beating Madrimov better than Bud. I just think he took more chances because he had to. That's just the style of his fight. It's not that he beat him better, I don't think. I just think he had to take those chances. He had to chase him around a lot. I don't understand why he had to chase him around as much, because Madrimov wasn't willing to meet him in the middle of the ring. As I recall, and it's been a while because I only saw it once, but the Bud fight and the Madrimov fight to me seemed more like a draw. It was so close. It was razor thin. I don't think he beat Madrimov decisively enough, but again, I wasn't mad at the decision. But the Virgil Ortiz, I didn't think he was going to win, man. I really didn't think he was going to win after that Boachuk fight. I thought, and it wasn't just because of the skill or anything like that. I know he does have good skills. I just thought it was more about the disease, the rhabdo, myelitis disease that he has. I don't think 154 is enough weight to move up, in my opinion, when you're dealing with that kind of shit. I know training camps probably were really hard, and he was probably teetering on the edge of getting sick a few times, maybe, because rhabdo just doesn't go away like that. It's something very serious, and it can flare up. And maybe he might be more comfortable at 160, although we won't see any knockouts, I don't know, for a while or at all. I know I always thought he was a bigger guy. I've always kind of been iffy about Ortiz. I liked him, but I always kind of felt I didn't like the fact that he was bigger than most of the guys at 147 too. So I always thought he had a more of an advantage. But he really impressed me with this fight. He hunted him down. His shot selections were good. And when he started landing and he started taking over, he did start dominating Madrimov, which I thought was great. And he got him to slow down. And I think he just invested to the body. He slowed the legs down a little bit more. He slowed the herky-jerky movement a lot. And he took some shots, and he took them well. I don't think he even took a nasty uppercut at one point. Maybe it was towards the end of the fight, I remember. But I think he did really well. I was really impressed with Ortiz, and I think that I would like to see Ortiz and pretty much anybody at 154. I think he's a solid contender, and that's all I'll say.
All right. Well, shout out to you, Don Madrazos. Thank you for the call back, and take it easy out there. Call back next time.
See you, bro.
Yeah, I want to get to some of the my thoughts on those fights. I think we're going to be running out of time here, so I have to do it quickly because I also wanted to bring a couple of other things up about what's happened. I mean, what happened with Chris Eubank and Conor Benn. It's going to be interesting to see. I think that fight's going to do very well. I already thought he was going to do well in England, obviously, because of the names. Now I think it's going to do even better. Shout out to Angel Hernandez for his contribution via the super chat. He says, Double L is about to get double penetrated by Turkey and Hamza. Come on. What is this? What's with you know what? I mean, again, this is my comeback show. I've been off for a while, trying to do a nice little slow, tranquil family show, and then I get this type of... I mean, come on. What's going on here?
You gonna fucking get sassy with me here, boy? Huh?
Yeah, you're gonna get sassy with me, fellas? What's going on here? Let's behave for a little bit. I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's that much to ask. As it pertains to Beterbiev Bivol. Yeah, listen, okay, my thoughts on Beterbiev Bivol, and I don't want to bore you with the technical details, but I'm just waiting for more phone calls here. So I picked Bivol in the first fight, and I thought he won the first fight. But then afterwards, I had never seen the boxing world so divided after a fight. It was almost literally 50, well, not almost literally, but it was as close to 50-50 as I've ever seen a boxing result afterwards, or debate rather. It really split the boxing world 50-50. 50% of people were adamant that Beterbiev had won. The other 50% were adamant Bivol had won. And so when I saw that much division, I said, okay, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's possible that it was that close. This rematch just sort of solidified my feeling or my view about the first fight, which is that, yeah, Bivol I thought was always one step ahead from Beterbiev. Well, not always, though. Excuse me, not always, but he had that ability to get one step ahead and then stay there. And I think a lot of that had to do with youth. Let's face the facts. You know, like we were talking about earlier with one of the callers, Beterbiev sort of slowed down there after a while. Well, that's what happens when you're 40 years old. Beterbiev is a great fighter. He's a great fighter. But great fighters, when they get old, they can still do the things they used to in their primes. They just can't sustain it as often during the fight. That's what happened with Beterbiev. He tried to turn it on earlier. Why? Because Bivol turned it on earlier. Bivol wasn't moving as much early. He was really adamant about countering. And once Beterbiev sensed, okay, this guy's early on, he's way too energetic for what he's supposed to be doing in this fight. I'm going to turn the energy on and match his. And yeah, when Beterbiev turned it on, he started pushing Bivol around. But then the problem is Beterbiev couldn't sustain it. And after a while, Bivol went back to doing what he did. And again, he didn't school Beterbiev. He didn't, had his head snapping side to side, sideways or back. But he just did more almost every round. And even though Beterbiev continued coming on strong and tried to save a little bit for those late rounds, I don't think he closed the show as dominantly as he did the first fight. Because I do think the first fight, two of the best rounds he had were the 11th and the 12th. So, one of the first times I'd ever seen Bivol clinch consistently the way he did in those last two rounds. This time, I still thought Bivol had it tough in the championship rounds, but it wasn't as marked or as apparent as it was in the first fight. So interesting adjustment from Bivol, who turned it up even more by starting off earlier, forcing Beterbiev to turn his energy up earlier than anticipated as well. And though Bivol at one point looked like he was going to get run over, Beterbiev just couldn't sustain that pace. So I do think it's fair for people to ask, how would this fight have looked 5 years earlier, 6 years earlier? Unfortunately, we'll never know. Based on what we saw on Saturday, I think you can extrapolate some things from that and say, yeah, I think Beterbiev would have probably run him over. But then again, if Beterbiev would have started earlier, or if this fight would have taken place back when they were younger, maybe Bivol's, again, he's 31, right? 31, 32. Maybe at 26, he has even more energy. I mean, we don't know. We can only speculate. We are lucky that at least we got them to fight twice now. Again, I'm not terribly interested in the third fight, by the way, because I already thought Bivol won the first fight. And then this time he gets a decision the way I think he should have in the first fight. So I'm thinking, well, in my mind, I think he's already gotten the best out of Beterbiev twice. I really want to see a third time. But then again, we'll see what happens. At first, Beterbiev didn't really want to talk about a rubber match. And then he said, well, if they ask me to, let's make it happen. So I don't know. He seemed, from the one interview that I read, it seemed like he was a little bit ambivalent about a rubber match. But we'll see what happens. I thought it was a good fight. I think it had a little bit more ebb and flow than the first one by virtue of the fact that both guys started off earlier in the fight than they did in the first fight, in the first one. And so, yeah, it was exciting. I thought it was relatively exciting, rather. Let's not get too carried away here. It was relatively exciting considering the stock of both fighters. And yeah, Bivol, man, let me tell you, this dude has to be, even though, he's on his dossier, he's got a Canelo win now and a win over Beterbiev. So he's got 2 wins that featuring top 5 pound-for-pound guys. It's about as good a resume as you're going to find in boxing. And the fact that this guy barely loses any rounds and had barely lost any rounds prior to taking on Beterbiev, I think he could make a case, or you could make a case if you wanted to that he's the best fighter in the world right now. Really, because, he took a monster like Beterbiev to push him to the limit and gave him his first loss. And even then, it was controversial. You got to scratch your head and wonder who else is going to be able to beat him at 175. Who not named Beterbiev is going to be able to beat him? I don't know. It's just, and by the way, I'd rather see Beterbiev Benavides. I'd rather see that because I think Bivol beats Benavides, whereas Beterbiev, at least, A, he's more exciting than Bivol, so him versus Benavides would be more exciting, and B, he's a little older. So that may give Benavides a chance at maybe pulling something out. But I don't think Benavides beats either the Beterbiev that we saw this past Saturday or the Bivol that we saw on Saturday either. He's in a tough one. That's why don't be surprised if he moves up and fights Gilberto Ramirez at cruiserweight. Because believe it or not, even though he'd be fighting a bigger guy, he has a little bit more of a chance of beating that guy than he does beating Bivol and Beterbiev. Then again, I've been wrong before. It is a boxing fight. Both guys are trained. All of these guys are trained killers at that level. So you never know what could happen. Again, I never besmirch an underdog. I never say never, except when I say never beforehand. Anyway, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Call in. Still here for a couple more minutes. What is it, 20 minutes? Yeah, maybe 20 minutes. Yeah, at the most 20 minutes. So make sure to call in. Phone lines are still open. Give us your thoughts on anything and everything boxing. Oh yeah, okay. So I wanted to give my thoughts on the other fight that I was looking forward to the most on that Saturday Riyadh season card, and that was Virgil Ortiz versus Madrimov. Um, First of all, let me take umbrage with the commentating team. I was watching it on the Zone, and we had the North American commentators. So it's Mannix, Mora, forget the other guy's name, and then Sean Porter jumped in. Listen, Sean Porter looks and sounds like a very nice fella. I've seen interviews with him before. The fact that he was always a humble guy in his career, but he would fight like a beast, like a Tasmanian devil in there. And the fact that he could box when he wanted to too. He could move around the ring, get his energy up, and then boom, he would go right back on the inside. So I always liked him as a boxer and as a person, but as a commentator, I don't know if he's saying things purposefully to be outrageous, or if he really believes what he says. But he has some horrible takes, and that this past with the Madrimov Ortiz one, Ortiz is chasing Madrimov down, and it's the first couple of rounds. He's not gonna jump in there against a guy like Madrimov who has good legs and who can counter with power on top of that. He's not gonna jump in and go balls to the walls from the first round on. But they made it seem that way. And they made it seem like Madrimov was outboxing him. Okay, Madrimov was showing some nifty footwork, but he was back foot bitching it because he was moving way too much, which they did sort of address later on in the fight. But it wasn't until about the fourth round when somebody decided to point out, this might be excessive movement. From the second round on, you could tell, okay, he's moving well, but he's moving way too much, number one. So in a way, you could argue he's not moving well. And second of all, he's not landing anything. I didn't see him landing these big shots that they were talking about. He wasn't outboxing Ortiz. It was a very even fight. Ortiz was catching him with jabs, and every once in a while, Madrimov would land an overhand right behind Ortiz's guard. I didn't see what they were talking about. And then near the end of one round, Porter goes, Madrimov's already shown Ortiz 3 or 4 styles. I'm thinking, listen, maybe I'm fucked up. Maybe I'm the one that doesn't know what a style is. But when did you see in the first 4 rounds, when did you see Madrimov switch it up 4 times stylistically? I didn't see that. And like Bucho told me, I was watching the fight with Bucho, and Bucho goes, first of all, switching up 4 styles, why, if indeed that's even true, which it wasn't, why not stick to one style? And if that's working out. So if you're switching 3, 4, 5 styles, then that probably meant he wasn't doing as well as he thought he would. I thought it was an competitive fight early on, but then Ortiz started to get going, started revving up that engine, and that jab really was the difference here in that fight. So shout out to Ortiz, who managed to get a good win. Again, it was a 50-50 fight coming in. Especially after the Bohajok fight, where a lot of people felt that he got a gift in that one. So he needed some redemption, and he got it. And now the world's his oyster. And if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we did a in-depth live expose of the 154-pound division, which I coined perhaps the best division in boxing, and went through the top 10 guys. And Ortiz is one of those guys that a lot of people were high on, even after the Bohajok fight, because there was an asterisk next to that Bohajok fight. He was coming off of inactivity, had only had about a total of 2 grand rounds since that layoff, and he was against subpar opposition. For him to jump in against a monster like Bohajok, and still he came out on top. You can argue that it was that he got robbed, whatever, but you can also argue that he pulled it out by the skin of his balls, and which I thought he did. I thought at least he showed that without that power, because he hit Bohajok with everything in the kitchen sink. Or but the kitchen sink, and couldn't put him out. But he did show that he could work in there. And that jab, I think, won him the fight against Bohajok. But it was a very close fight, and I would like to see it again. It was supposed to happen again, but then remember, I think Bohajok asked for too much money or something. So I'm going to talk about that more, but hold on a second. We got a phone call here. Let's go to 642. 642, you're on the air. 642, what's on your mind?
Hey, BDA, it's Fights Will Talk again. I'm just calling because I heard what you were saying about the Madrimov Ortiz fight, and I've actually been very surprised by the response of a lot of fans. People are saying that Madrimov arguably has a case for winning. I mean, I don't know where they're getting that from, and I thought Madrimov was going to win. And Ortiz, I think he's put an argument in for him being the best 154-pounder in the world, because Crawford had one fight. I thought he beat Madrimov, but Ortiz did it better, more decisively. And Murtazaliev has had one good win against Tim Zub, which was tremendous, but that's all he's had. And I'm not 100% sure about Fundora yet. So, yeah, I think the reason why I'm so hyped on the Ortiz fight is, one, it was a really good fight. The guy's exciting. He's tightened up his defense. He's making improvements. And in a super stacked division like 154, which might be the most stacked in the sport, I think this is tremendous for not just for him, but for the sport and for Golden Boy.
There you go. Yeah, I thought it was a very good fight, man, too, and a good result for Ortiz, who showed that he redeemed his name after the Bohajak war. So, yeah, man, it was a good fight, and it was entertaining because it wasn't like Madrimov got completely outclassed. I mean, he tried. He tried his best. It wasn't going to happen against a guy in Ortiz, whom people forgot was actually quite a formidable fighter indeed. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Well, I'll just say I think Madrimov. I've been quite disappointed in him because of how he's responded to the loss. Like, if he just said, "Look, he worked a little bit harder than me and he won the fight," which is pretty much what happened, I would have been fine with it. But the excuses he's come out with, he and Eddie Hearn, saying that he shouldn't have fought, that he couldn't breathe after 3 rounds. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's no way you can move the way he did and have trouble breathing. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I think Madrimov might have. I don't know if he's going to come back from this, because it's not just the excuses; it's the way he's making them. And I was very high on Madrimov coming into this fight. So yeah, I think Ortiz may have ruined Madrimov's ascendance, and meanwhile making his own.
No, you're right, man. You're right, and it's interesting because I think maybe the reason why maybe he's taking this loss worse than he did the Crawford one is because at least Crawford had all that hype about how he's the best fighter in the world, this and that. But now he lost to Ortiz, who wasn't getting that same hype anymore. All of a sudden, maybe it's a little more difficult to digest. But we'll see what happens, man. We got to move on here, man. But thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Thanks, brother. Catch you later.
All right. Catch you later, man. Yeah, so that Ortiz, Ortiz, man, this dude has a shotgun jab, and I like the way he turns his punches over. You know, NPR was talking about Callum Smith, the way he turns his punches over. Ditto with Virgil Ortiz, man. I mean, this dude gets some leverage. He can crack with both hands. Straight right uppercut, left hook to the body, left hook upstairs. I mean, it is just deadly, even at 154. And I sort of had a feeling that after the Bohajak fight, I said, I think people are sleeping on Ortiz's power a little bit because, I mean, Bohajak's a big dude. Yeah, Brandon Adams caught him and stopped him in their fight, but Adams was losing that fight, and he caught him with a good shot. It was one shot. If he doesn't catch him in the rematch, he doesn't win that fight. I mean, I'm talking about Bohajak-Adams rematch, if it were ever to occur. And you look at how Bohajak busted up Brian Mendoza, Lavala, who's a formidable fighter, 154 pounds. And then you look at what Ortiz managed to do to Bohajak. They went to war. He didn't get pushed around. He didn't get outclassed. He got dropped twice, flashed knockdowns, got right back up, gave it back to Bohajak. Actually wobbled Bohajak a couple of times. I'm curious to see how Bohajak looks in his next fight against a world-class guy. Because I don't know how much that war against Ortiz might have taken out of him. But I still want to see that Ortiz-Bohajak rematch as well. So, man, I'm telling you, 154 pounds, that's a red-hot division. As it pertains to the Crawford-Ortiz, who did better, we had a caller earlier, I think it was the first one. He said he was being pissed off that people were saying Ortiz did better. I don't know how. I haven't been following too many of the arguments. I mean, I've been seeing comments here and there. First of all, we have to decide, what do you mean by who did better? Better at what? Dominating overall? Nobody I thought Ortiz clearly won the Madrimov fight. And I thought Crawford did also clearly win, although it was a very competitive fight. Because Madrimov started getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and then sort of faded in the championship rounds, but was still quite competitive in those rounds. So, we really have to look at analyze the fight and go, well, did better? What do we mean by that? And how then did fighter A or fighter B perform better against Madrimov? First of all, another person had said, yeah, it was a question of styles. Crawford was boxing on the back foot against Madrimov. Madrimov was coming forward, fighting a little bit like Golovkin-Canelo, inching his way forward, and Crawford was trying to snap that jab and trying to run Madrimov into something big. The first 3 rounds, people make a big deal about what's his name, Madrimov not doing much. Neither was Crawford. Neither guy was landing that much in those first couple of rounds. But Madrimov, from a ring generalship position or talking point, was backing Crawford up. Middle rounds were very difficult for Crawford. He was getting his head snapped back a lot. And then, like I said, then Madrimov started getting tired a little bit. The heat of the moment got to him. He'd never been in that type of fight before. And again, that's the other thing about Madrimov, by the way. I said this before the Ortiz fight. He's got questionable stamina. Even when he fought that African guy with the silver shorts that looks like something out of a 1950s sci-fi movie, Olajidwe or whatever his name was, he was beating the crap out of that guy, and he was getting tired doing it. So, and you'll remember against Eric Walker years ago, he was also starting to huff and puff a little bit. So he does have some stamina issues, and they showed up against Ortiz again. Now that's the way that Crawford fought him, off the back foot. Ortiz is a guy, different style than Crawford, obviously younger than Crawford, more energy. He decided, I'm going to back Madrimov up, and Madrimov, I think, already knew that was going to try to be Ortiz's game plan. So he said, let me box, let me show my footwork in this one, and show my diversity, my multiple dimensions, and try to box this guy. But he was moving too much. He wasn't doing anything early on, and it only got worse as the fight progressed. As it pertains to Ortiz, people say, oh, look at his face. He took more damage. I think, and I would hope that most people would know about boxing or that been watching boxing a long time, because facial damage, we all know, is not a real indicator of how many shots you took or how much actual damage you took. I mean, you'll recall that Ortiz fights with a guard up, and it's not the best guard in the world. It's a pretty good one, don't get me wrong, but it's not the best because it's a very static guard. It's not a dynamic one. So what I mean by that is he catches the punches, the full brunt of the power right on his gloves. He doesn't move them slightly. You want to see a dynamic guard, you look at Lomachenko, you look at, what's his name, Usyk, you look at Canelo, even Benavidez. That's a dynamic guard right there. They move those gloves slightly up and down so that the punches slide off those gloves. You're taking the steam away from them. You want to look at a bad guard or a static guard, Tank Davis versus Frank Martin. He tried to fight like Canelo, and God bless him, because at least he didn't run around the ring this time. But he was walking right into Frank Martin's shots, taking the full brunt on those gloves. That's why, if you look at Tank Davis's face in that fight, it was busted up too. But it's not like, and yeah, some punches were breaking through the guard, don't get me wrong. But also, what I'm trying to illustrate here is that when you got that guard up, there's going to be some chafing. I'll give you an example. Winky Wright, when he fought Sam Soliman years ago, this was when Winky Wright was considered at worst the number 2 pound-for-pound guy in the world. One of the best guards ever. Tight. Just tight all around. He fought Soliman, and Soliman's plan was to just drown him with offense. And they weren't the hardest punches. It was just activity. Volume. I think he ended up throwing 1,000 shots or something close to that. Winky Wright still landed the harder shots, the cleaner shots rather, snapped the more telling shots, snapping Soliman's head back, and even hurt him late in the fight to the body. But then you looked at Winky Wright's face afterwards, he was swollen and chafed. Why? Because he's got those muffs up, those ear muffs up. Don't those muffs up. He has those ear muffs up, those gloves up. So what's going to happen? You're lacing yourself, essentially. Doesn't really mean you took the hardest shots in the world. So when I saw that Madrimov-Ortiz fight, what I saw from that is, I saw some of Madrimov's shots breaking through the guard, especially when he looped them. But other than that, I didn't see Ortiz's head get snapped back that much. Now, when I see Crawford versus Madrimov, I saw some head-snapping shots. I saw the Crawford dreads moving up and down, sweat flying all over the place. So, it's maybe he connected, maybe Madrimov did connect more on Ortiz, but I certainly didn't see the head-snapping shots that I saw against when he fought Crawford. And again, judges, what do they like? They like clean, effective punching. And what's more clean than the head getting snapped back and forth or sideways? So again, I understand people making the argument. I think people are making way too much of it. I think to me, the most important thing was that for the people that were saying that Madrimov was the better version of Canelo. And I was thinking, well, better how? Oh, he's Canelo with better footwork. And again, people don't explain things. They just say things, and they don't explain them. They don't go in depth about them. And so I guess it's a big deal now because so many people are giving Crawford a chance to beat Canelo. but he struggled against Madrimov, who is similar to Canelo. And now all of a sudden they're seeing Ortiz beat that same Madrimov. And now if they admit that Ortiz did better, then all of a sudden they don't. That means maybe Crawford is not as good as they thought he was, and therefore might not have that much of a chance against Canelo. I don't know. It's. I just thought that Crawford is overrated. I think by virtue, Madrimov was overrated. And this is coming from a guy who was giving Madrimov a very good chance of beating Crawford in the build-up to the fight. So it's not like I'm disparaging Madrimov here. I just think people get overrated, people get underrated. And that's what eschews people's minds going into fights. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going, BDA? It's Josh. How's it going?
Oh, Josh, long time no see, man. What's up?
Yeah, I've been busy in the streets. You know, South Central is an interesting place, you know. But as long as you got biceps and a lasso, you'll be okay.
There you go, man. I agree.
In any case, you know, when it comes to the Beterbiev and Bill fight, I thought exactly what you said. I just thought he aged in this fight because he tried to knock him out when he noticed that Bivol was gonna sit on his punches, sit on his feet a little bit longer. He tried to take him out, and just like that, his energy, you know, went away. So I thought that if it was done in you know, in the earlier years of his age, he would have probably knocked him out. But I have to give Bivol credit for being able to take those punches for 24 rounds. No human that has ever faced Beterbiev has been able to take those punches. But I also wonder if he sustained a lot of damage because he took a punch in the 12th round where they both shot at the same time. And Beterbiev, he had to have wondered, what is in this guy's chin, you know? And of course, you know, it's the Slavin, you know, chink jeans. And, you know, he was surprised that he was able to take that punch. But after fighting Anglo, and then the Afro Anglo, he thought that, you know, that punch was going to be able to do something, but, you know, not against that type of guy. You know, similar to like a Mexican, I think maybe he should have invested to the body, and that would have allowed him to connect more at the end of the rounds. But he started to headhunt a little too much. And Bivol, you know, he might not have a lot of power, but he has a really great chin. And in terms of another thing that I want to talk about is that I know you guys were talking a lot of crap about Morale, about how Morale was not really a good opponent for Benavidez. But I always look at a fighter not on his record, because in this day and age, a lot of guys don't really fight each other, so you got to kind of pick them apart a little differently, but on his ability and on his ability to perform on a big stage. And Morale, you know, you guys might say that he was a prospect, but he had power. And he's athletic, he's big, he's long, he's strong, no pause, you know? He's a big dude. And as opposed to like Plant, right? Because you guys got to look at the symbolism of the fights. Plant sexually submitted to Benavidez in that fight. He grabbed his full body with both arms and like prayed to Benavidez. And you got to understand that you got to look at the symbolism that he submitted to Benavidez multiple times throughout the fight. And the only reason why he survived was because of Bayless. That's it. And Morale never did that. So in my view, he's superior because not only is he superior genetically, but he's superior in his performance. So I don't give a shit what Platt has ever did. Morale is superior. And no way that Morale punches harder. No way that BJS punches harder than Morale. So I was kind of thinking, you know, Canelo, because I have an issue. The other issue I have with you guys is that you guys are LARPing Anglos with Eastern Europeans, and you guys always say, "Oh, European fighter." They're not the same thing.
No, I don't do
it's
that.
It's like a pygmy and it's like a pig. Why you guys were doing it before, and now I think you guys are coming along, right? So you.
I mean, just real quick, Josh.
It's not the same. It's not.
Just real quick, just to clarify. No, I've been saying this for a while now, especially on the Discourse where we have this late night voice chats. I've been saying it for a while that same things goes with the Africans. When people say, "Oh, you know, Africans," I mean, it's white Africans. They're you look at a Nigerian and then you look at a guy from Ethiopia. They look completely different. That's why, and it's the same thing what you're saying with the white thing.
Yeah.
So no, I've been saying this for a while now.
It's just a simpleton way of viewing things, and you know, I wanted to do a dissection of of another big topic when it came to like Crawford saying that Canelo was afraid of Afro or afraid of black fighters, right? But going back to what I was gonna say, I kind of lost my train of thought. But when it comes to Canelo, his resume did become better because Smith proved himself in the ring, you know. So I can't really say that morale is superior to Smith because I was gonna say that, but now I really can't, you know.
Right.
So Canelo did get a major boost in his resume, in my opinion, by having a guy that he dismantled in 168, being like at least the top 3 or the top 4. He has to be above Benavidez as well. So, I mean, Benavidez, you know, as a Benavidez fan, I think Callum Smith is that fighter, and then hopefully Beterbiev and Bivol fights again, and similar to the way like I guess Tim Tszyu and Frondero fought. You know how Tim Tszyu never got knocked down, right? But he sustained so much damage in that fight that maybe his chin was depleted, you know, and further on, and maybe it's going to be depleted forevermore. And I have to think that even though Bivol, is not, you know, a typical Western European fighter with a superior chin, now that he's fought Beterbiev 3 times, maybe there might be a crack somewhere. And at that point, now would be the time to fight Bivol, because we got to be careful here, because Bivol might turn into the Mexicutioner, although reincarnated, because you beat Canelo, and I know Canelo's gonna try to fight him again, and then he already beat Zurdo, and then it'll become Benavidez, and then Pacheco in the future. So I was like, oh snap, it's I can see it already. But so I would prefer that we all throw all the arms to Bivol and see what happens. But another thing that I want to say is that the fight versus Terrence Crawford and Madrimov, it was like Terrence Crawford with a lot of opponents tried to take out fighters, right? But versus Madrimov, he didn't want to. He was trying to point him, and I think it's because of the power, right?
Right.
And versus or it's going to be me. Only one guy's going to walk out of the ring. So he lost twice. He lost in the arms race, and he lost in the actual scorecard. Plus, he sustained more damage, more punches landed. The plus minus was higher for Ortiz, and Ortiz had a superior scorecard. One other thing that would have made it even more profound is that the fucking ref gave him like 11 warnings. This dude was shooting torpedo shots with his forehead, with his shoulder and everything, and he never took a point. If he would have took a point, it would have been 115 to 112, and right there the superior scorecard would show even more, right? So I think that there's no question that Ortiz had the better performance because he made Madrimov submit to him, and Madrimov quit. He knew, you have to know, if I allow him to overcome me right here, it's over, and he accepted it. So that's another symbolism of gay submission, right? So I know a lot of guys right here, they don't actually fight. They don't actually fight in the streets. A lot of you guys are behind computers. A lot of you guys are fucking fat and out of shape. But you guys got to look at those things, at the symbolism, at what people say, at what remarks people do, and how their body language is, to understand who's superior, who's not. And Madrimov became like the biggest twink in the world for Ortiz, right? And he let him have it. And but shout out to you guys. I always appreciate you guys for making the calls. For having shows. I always want to call, but it seems for every reason I'm always busy. But I'm happy that you made a show right now. And I'm happy I was able to call.
Excuses. I'm hearing gay excuses. That's what I'm hearing. All right. Well, listen, it was good to hear from you. It was good to hear from you, Josh. And yeah, man, we're going to keep an eye on that gay submission that goes on. I mean, again, you got to be able to know how to read the body language. Not everyone can do it. So now that you got us onto that, maybe we'll start pointing it out more. But shout out to you, Josh. Thank you for your call, man.
For sure. Take care, guys.
All right. Take it easy, man. All right. We're still here. We're going to be here for a couple more minutes because I got a couple of things to touch on. First, I got to touch the bathroom. I got to go to the latrine. So I'll leave you with, in case you didn't watch the press conference, this is what happened today. They had that Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. press conference. They're going to be fighting. It's part of Riyadh season, although it's taking place in England, I believe. I don't know why they call it Fatal Fury, which is a video game, I think, and then they call it March of the Wolves or something. I don't know why they're putting these weird ass movie titles to the fights posters. But anyway, here's what happened.
These two are going to face off, and they are mic'd up, these two. So let's just see if they say anything to each other. Let's just pause and have a good look at this and a good listen to it.
April 26th, live on DAZN Worldwide and Sky Sports box office in the UK and Ireland, Saturday, April 26th. It's Ben versus Eubank. The limit 160 pounds. The family feud goes on.
Oh, tempers flaring there.
I got that one wrong, didn't I? Sorry to say I did tell you before it.
He called that one, and it really has erupted down here on his...
All right, so first of all, you notice a couple of things. I don't know if you saw it, but Nigel Benn, Conor Benn's father, actually intervened and tried to choke. He gave him the pimp choke. You know, when you do it with one hand, when you walk up to your host slowly and put your hand on her throat. That's what he did. Well, I don't know if you can see it in this one. Now you can't really see it. But so that's what happened, man. Everybody, I mean, this whole thing. And by the way, so he slapped him. I don't know if you missed it, but Eubank slapped him with an egg. He had an egg squirreled away in his pockets. And first of all, that's highly, I know they're trying to sell this fight or whatever. If this was unscripted and nobody saw it coming, it's really immature for Chris Eubank to actually, because that was a slap, essentially. He ended up slapping, palm hitting the guy. Highly inappropriate. You can tell that he's trying to get badly under Conor Benn's skin, because if he loses to Conor Benn, a smaller guy coming up in weight, it's going to be really bad look for him. So Chris Eubank, I've always thought he's always been a bit of a scumbag. Now he just confirms it for me. And I got no love for Conor Benn either, but that doesn't dissuade me from calling out Chris Eubank Jr. for this highly inappropriate stunt. The other thing is this. In Spanish, the Spanish word for egg is huevo. Now, huevos means the plural for eggs, is also a slang term used for your balls. You know, when we say "este güey tiene huevos," you know, these guys got balls. So and Conor Benn lives in Spain. I think he grew up in Spain. So he speaks Spanish. There's been interviews with us. So if you think about it, Conor Benn, by slapping him with an egg, is essentially slapping him with a huevo. So he's essentially scrotum slapping him. He's slapping him with his ball sack. And so I thought it was, again, that just, maybe I'm taking a page out of the Josh book here of looking at a gay dominance all over the place now. But I mean, how else can you interpret it? So it was very, very bad look there for Chris Eubank. But this is going to sell. This is what people like. I saw a lot of people laughing it up on Twitter. So it is what it is. But I just thought it was a completely in bad taste, that move. And again, that's how desperate people are now to get people talking about these fights. And you know what? It might not even, that fight, it's one of those fights that for some reason I still think it could fall apart at any minute now. I just got a feeling, call it intuition, my sixth sense that's been honed from days of me just laying in bed meditating the flu away. I think I got into an altered state of consciousness where I'm actually seeing through multiple dimensions. I'm peering through the veil, and I'm able to look at the fact that time is not a linear sequence, but rather a waterfall that you can navigate. And I think I'm starting to look ahead of the future. I think I'm sensing something. So anyway, that's the way I look at that. Before we go, one last thing. The phone lines are still open, by the way, in the meantime. Okay, so one of the things that happened over there at Riyadh was that Teofimo Lopez and Terence Crawford ended up coming face to face. That's right, face to face. And Well, let me play you the video here. Hold on a second. This is what ended up happening. I think most of you already saw it, but they had a little talk. They took some pictures with the Turk, and here's what happened.
Hey, tell him what you told me. What I tell you? What you doing it for? Oh, promotion, baby. All right. So I ain't gotta fuck him. I ain't gotta fuck him up. But we should spar. I ain't gotta fuck him up. We should spar. We good people. Come on, I want to spar with you though. All right, how about that?
All right, so you saw Crawford there trying to, because, well, okay, so that's the first interaction that's the interaction they had right there, right? This was after months of, because again, Teofimo Lopez is now being branded as a racist for some reason, even though he hasn't said or done anything overtly racist. So people, now the only thing people can say is, well, he's dog whistling, which is a way of saying, I want to interpret what he says as racist. This is what Terence Crawford said months ago about Teofimo Lopez.
If we was to fight right now on the streets, I'll break your fucking neck. And that's on my kids.
Hold on a second.
If we was to fight right now on the streets, I'll break your fucking neck. And that's on my kids. And you know it, I know it, and the whole world know it. And I'm not talking about no fighting in the ring. If me and you was to fight outside, I will break your neck.
Okay, so he's evidently very emotional right there. I mean, why else would you need to go that far in saying, hey, listen, man, if we fight, I'm busting you up. Why would he need to say that? Because he was upset, visibly upset at Teofimo Lopez on some of the things Teofimo Lopez had said. And then once they come face to face, they're all buddy-buddy. What happened to all that talk about you're going to break his face, but then he did try to save face. Look at this. Look at how he repeats, I don't have to fuck him up.
You told me. What I tell you? What you doing it for? Oh, promotion, baby. All right. So I ain't gotta fuck him. I ain't gotta fuck him up. But we should spar. I ain't gotta fuck him up.
He had to say it 3 times. He's trying to tell Teofimo Lopez, oh, if I wanted to, I could kick your ass. Well, I mean, he's right there in front of you. Why not do it? And he goes, oh, well, he's saying it for promotion. So now because he's saying it for promotion, it's okay then. Because again, the book out on Teofimo Lopez is that what he said was racist. Even Crawford said it. Crawford himself said, oh, he's saying racist stuff. But as long as it's for promotion, it's okay then. That's what he's saying. Racism is okay if it's being done for promotion. Okay, then why isn't it okay when you're making a joke that's racially charged? So now we're starting to find out that racism is okay in certain scenarios. That's good to know there from Terence Crawford. Hopefully other people followed suit with what their king Crawford is saying, because I saw a lot of death threats against Teofimo Lopez these past couple of weeks. A lot of people saying if I see him on the streets, it's on. A lot of people trying to boycott him. Hitchens saying he doesn't want to fight him because he's a racist. Keyshawn Davis saying he doesn't want to fight him because he's a racist. But now Terence Crawford is saying he's giving everybody the okay, saying, he's just doing it for promotion. It's okay. So he's saying, Terence Crawford right there, you saw him on tape saying, racism is okay if it's done for promotional purposes. That's, I think we're coming forward as a society then, not to take this type of stuff too seriously. I don't know. You guys tell me. Mark in the chat says, Bud just wanted to fill up Teofimo. Yeah, talk about gay stuff. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. But the Crawford was, I mean, and by the way, I wasn't advocating for Crawford to do anything, because again, that would have been stupid too. That would have been low impulse control type stuff. But again, he was doing so much jawing about how, if I see him on the streets, he's on, I'm breaking his face. They do see each other face to face, and they're buddies. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It just, Crawford went as far as to say that was on his kids. That's on my kids. I would break his face on my kids. So you're swearing on your kids, but then when you actually see him face to face, you don't do anything. I mean, I gotta tell you, if I were Terence Crawford's kids, I'd be a little worried about, hey, dad doesn't keep his promises. I don't know. It's kind of it would be kind of worrisome, maybe even borderline traumatic to have a father that just says things but doesn't actually walk that walk. What else did I want to talk about? So that's what we had there. Oh yeah, okay. One last video then, because speaking of Keyshawn Davis, I mentioned him. People are talking about Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis, right? And the hope is that Tank Davis, if he wins on Saturday, he's going to call out Shakur Stevenson. I don't know if that fight happens or not. Again, I'm very skeptical about that happening. But I'm thinking, wait, if that fight doesn't happen, why not make Shakur Stevenson versus Keyshawn Davis? Oh, but BDA, they said they're friends, the loyalty this, loyalty that. I mean, let's hear from Abdullah Mason a couple of weeks ago, or at least a couple of days ago, at least, was asked about what he thinks about that whole thing and him fighting friends. Listen to what he had to say.
Here's the best way I can ask you, Abdullah. It seems like Shakur and Keyshawn got a handshake agreement. They'll never fight. Do you have any handshake agreement?
Okay, by the way, first of all, I don't know. Why does Abdullah Mason, he's surrounded by a bunch of Afro-Anglos with beards and weird caps on and all that. It looks like they should be standing over at Times Square, handing out leaflets about how they're the true Israelites or whatever. I don't know.
Here's the best way I can ask you, Abdullah. It seems like Shakur and Keyshawn got a handshake agreement. They'll never fight. Do you have any handshake agreements with anybody?
The only people I never fight is my blood brothers.
Enough said. Enough said.
So essentially, he's not saying it directly. Obviously, he's saying, why are these guys so obsessed about, we don't want to fight each other. He's my brother. He's my brother. No, you're not brothers. I hate to break it to you. And everyone has a price. So Abdullah Mason, speaking it, telling it the way it is, rather, if that's not your blood brother, what's the problem here? Shit, even, I mean, I would fight my blood brothers if it was for enough money. Hey, man, we're adding funds to the family. We're adding to the family fund. What's wrong with that? These guys don't want to do it. And I don't know if I've told you my theory, but I'll just say it briefly here. The reason why Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson don't want to fight each other is look at how they act before a fight. They could be fighting the nicest guy out there, and they're out there talking smack, getting into little scuffles. Their corner and their entourage is talking mad shit to their opponents. Why? Because they make it personal. Because for them, this isn't just a boxing bout. It's personal. If they lose, they feel like shit afterwards. And, people could say, yeah, but doesn't everyone hates losing? Every world-class athlete hates losing. It's something else with these guys. It's part of their personality, their character. That's why they're always talking so much smack. So they know that if they fight each other, they will never be able to put that aside. They won't be able to, just like, Simon Brown and Maurice Blocker, they almost killed each other in that ring. They were friends beforehand and they remained friends afterwards because they saw it was just business. These guys, they can't see it that way. I don't know if they're stunted or they're mentally or spiritually retarded. I don't know. They can't get past that. They're immature that way. Because for them, it's more than just a boxing bout. It's an actual fucking fight. It's a street fight. And if one guy beats the other, they know the relationship will never be the same because they lack that maturity to keep going forward. So, this whole thing about loyalty, this or that, nah, you fuckers are just immature. It's just what it is. Let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 669. 669, you're on the air. 669, what's in your mind? 669, you're on the air. I don't have the...
Yo, what's up?
Yes, you're on the air.
Man, with that point you're making right there, I think it's just that he lacks father figures.
You think so? But how would that affect
maturity? To teach him what a good man does,
Yeah, maybe. Didn't Shakur Stevenson have a father? He was the Puerto Rican one, right?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, having a Puerto Rican father is having, no father.
Ah, come on. Come on, man. You know what? We're going to have to get recognized out here. Set you straight, man. What are you talking about?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Uh-huh.
Just want to call in, man. I love the show.
Oh, good. Thank you, man. Thank you. Anything else?
I want to make one point quickly.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Just one point quickly.
You're still there?
I just want to say that if Canelo fights Crawford, that is going to be a slacking, bro.
For
That's
whom?
All, man. That Crawford guy, I don't think he's that good. I think he's one of the most overrated boxers we've seen in a long time.
Oh.
And that's just someone who likes the guy. I like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's as good as people say, they are. As he is, Sean Porter over here chroming him every 10 seconds each.
Yeah, even this past Saturday, I forgot to say, this past Saturday when he was there watching the Crawford, the Madrimov Ortiz fight, again, one of the commentators goes, look at him dialed in, downloading the information. I go, come on, would you fucking stop? The glazing is getting to be too
downloading? That guy ain't downloading nothing.
Well, you know what? One thing he's downloading, we know this for a fact, is we know what type of porn he's into. Because he forgot to clear his cache or whatever. Huh?
What is he into? Tell the audience. Tell us.
Well, hold on. Let me see if I've got it here. Because I remember I saved it. Just because I said no one's gonna believe me. Man, I got it here somewhere, but I'm gonna show it later on. But essentially, I think it's big black booties or something like that.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, he's into the
He
big chocolate asses.
BBW.
He's into the big chocolate asses. I mean, come on. I mean, just look at it, his wife. What else? Did you think he was into skinny chicks?
He's doing the BBW on the side.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, listen, caller. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, thanks for keep up the show, man. Love your stuff.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your call. Call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Bye.
Yeah, man. I had a screenshot that somebody had taken of it was a screenshot of Crawford on Twitter, and somebody had seen a big black booties or something.com, and it said liked by, and Terence Crawford's name was there. You know what? In hindsight, I don't even know if that was photoshopped or not. You never know anymore. But wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, like I said, look at his wife. He likes the chicks on the heavier side. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone's got their own taste. All right, so listen, I think that's about it, fellas. Shout out to everybody who called in. We got to go. We've been here for over 2 hours. But shout out to everybody who called in, everybody who donated via the Buy Me a Coffee app. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you yet to do so already. Check out our secondary channel, BDA Clips. Going to be posting some stuff there. I'm going to do a last-minute Tank Davis, Lamont Roach film study, just to give people an idea of how Lamont Roach could potentially win this fight, because I do think there's a path to victory, but it's a long shot. It's a long shot. But that's about it, fellas. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. Let's give a big shout out to everyone in the chat. Alfredo Contreras, Baron Ivola, Ejaculación Precos, okay? Desiree, J. Will, Mark T, Subcomandante Marcos. I think that's Alonso. Shout out to him. King KO, Mark, Mohammed, Amhard, Bruce Lee, Sergeant, Eparokua, Ralph Unreal, Warrior Way, Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl. Shout out to Earl. Bolas Peludas. All right. King KO, Technique, Double L. Shout out to Double L. Awkward call. I don't know who he's talking about. Manos de Dinamita in there. Knockout Ned. Ralph Unreal. And if I forgot anybody, fellas, because we got to go. But shout out to, the Real Food TV, a.k.a. Julio. Shout out to Julio. Check out his channel. I don't know, underrated channel. I think it's highly entertaining, man. Highly entertaining when he does non-boxing streams, when he does boxing streams. Check him out. He says Roach has better inside game, but he's going to take a dive. I don't know about that. I was talking to people the other day on the VC food, and I was telling them how I like, you got some good takes, but then after a fight's over, it's always, this guy, when you were saying Berenchik took a dive against against Keyshawn Davis. Meanwhile, you look at Baranchik's bleeding all over the place. I'm thinking, he took a beating before taking that dive, man. I don't know. But shout out to Food TV. Shout out to Julio. Shout out to, like I said, Alonso in there. Everybody who called in, everybody who joined us here in the chat. We'll try to be back again as soon as possible. But shout out to you, fellas. Stay safe out there. If you get the flu, take a lot of bioflavonoids. Don't be afraid to pop a couple of Advils. Drink a lot of green tea. Stay hydrated. Keep your chins down, your gloves up. We'll catch you in the next one, fellas.